This is it, the final split of the NACL 2025 season. Rising stars, returning giants, and one last shot at promotion. The Skies will fight to hold their spot, but the challengers are hungry. With new teams from open qualifiers and a revamped format, anything can happen. This isn't just another split. It's the last stop before the LTA, before the big stage. NACL Split 2 starts July 17th. Let's finish the fight.
I don't know about y'all, but the music on that is so great. Welcome back, everybody, to the NACL 2026 Split 1 Promotion Tournament. Today, we have the first qualification match, a best of 5 versus CCG and Apex Mission Impossible. The winner is an NACL. The loser will get a second chance of these 6 teams vying for 2 spots, RMC. We saw a lot of action yesterday, and we had it across multiple different channels, but ultimately we saw CCG and AMI, the cream rose to the top so far.
Yeah, and Yanni, you heard Mazal, hyping up the promo tournament from NACL to LTA North. He called it the last step before you enter the LTA. Well, this is the first step to make it into the NACL, to head towards that last step as well. And, the 2 teams that might qualify today are Apex Mission Impossible, who's been in the NACL before and now coming up from Tier 3 through OQs once again to reclaim that spot. The other team is CCG, who's currently there and fighting to not get relegated and move out of that spot.
Yeah, remember that CCG were bounced out. They had the 4-way tie for 6th place. The Breakers did not go their way, but they were still considered the strongest team in this promotion tournament. The favorites, I'd say, if you ask me at the very least, to get back into the NACL. AMI's circumstances in Split 1 were a little similar. There was a 2-way tie with them in Supernova, but they lost the tiebreak because, fortunately, AMI, they were only able to win games against the teams that they beat in series. They did not win any other individual games. A couple of different roster changes that we'll talk about a little bit later. But after yesterday's results, RMC, I think AMI just may be the second strongest team of the tournament.
Fair enough. We unfortunately didn't get to catch AMI here on stream, but we did get to watch CCG as well as some of the other teams. We started with Zenshi versus Cupid, of course, and Zenshi just looked stunningly good. Cupid especially, I feel like, really stepped up with his champion pool, and Cupid, they put up a good fight, but it just wasn't quite enough, and therefore Cupid now in the lower bracket, and so is Zenshi for that matter, because Zenshi then had to go up against CCG, who we know will be playing today.
Yeah, and you'll see a couple of clips in a little bit about the Zenshi and CCG match. I think that CCG did a great job of shutting down Cupid. I think Cupid was the best player on the Rift in the first series, and I think that's why I gave a little credence over to Young for a potential MVP. I know he wasn't one of our available guys to select from, but listen, when you can shut down a guy like Cupid, you're doing all the right things. I mean, this first game was absolute domination coming out from CCG, but it was the second game specifically that I was really wowed by their game plan.
Yeah, this being the first game, of course, the one where music just went absolutely insane. Didn't die at all this game on the Pantheon, despite leading pack, and he was the MVP of this particular series. And got a shout out Shogo as well. Poor Shogo ended up 1-0-8, pardon me, in the first game.
On Draven.
He struggled so hard to get that first kill. The second game, though, yeah, I think that's when Young had a much better laning phase of it, going up against Cupid, that Corki counter pick into the pocket pick of Cupid's Morgana, really working out super well. But CCG really firing on all cylinders, every single player stepping up as carries within that game.
Yeah, and I think today they can't do the same thing that they did in that second game yesterday. You look at the team comp that you see on your screen before it fades away, and you can see that something wasn't quite right there. They elected to go very aggressive, we'll put it that way. Let's take a look at the bracket. We saw Zenshi yesterday, of course, 2-0ing Cupid, but then getting 2-0'd by CCG themselves to put CCG in this qualification match. Meanwhile, on the other side of the upper bracket, AMI took a 2-0 over Lotus, which I must say, I picked Lotus to win that. I'm very surprised I'm very surprised by AMI and what they were able to put together. I think they have a good team. I just thought Lotus was a little bit better. And then not only that, they rolled over Vancouver Impact to get their spot here. And now that means we do have the lower bracket all sorted as well, with Cupid playing against Vancouver Impact and Lotus versus Zenshi Gaming. Remember, the losers of those lower bracket matches are done.
Yep, are eliminated. They will go home, and those matches will also be played today, albeit not here on the NACL stream. Because today we're all about the glory. It's all about CCG and Apex Mission Impossible, and who's going to make it up. So as you can see, we're going to be starting that. And Yanni, we are into best of 5 full Fearless as well. So hopefully more interesting champions to come through. We already saw a lot of wild picks, but it's pocket picks more than anything else today. If we get 5 games, it's going to be forced by full Fearless.
Yeah, and this is where you're going to start getting really creative with the picks, right? And, you know, a couple of guys who really like pulling out the strange picks. You know, Shogo, we saw his Yasuo get banned a couple of times. Also, Crimson plays that champion as well. Like, this is, you can't really give this over to anybody. And then you take a look over at AMI. I mean, we've got a couple of members over there. Protoss has a really deep champion pool. Retro Zing, you know, there's question marks. Is he just going to pull out what he plays a lot in solo queue? Because he doesn't really have a robust competitive history that you're able to go look up and easily find tape on.
Yeah, and again, as we mentioned off stream, we are going to have Cupid versus Vancouver Impact. Those games will still be a best of 3. That's an elimination match. And Lotus versus Zenshi, and those of y'all who pulled the OQs will know that was the match which actually qualified Zenshi in the first place. So a bit of a rematch in a best of 3 format instead of the best of 5 the OQs.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a pretty big one here. All right, RMC. Listen, this match has a lot behind it, right? CCG and MI, they played against each other in ACL playoffs. CCG won 2-1. All of these squads had the same amount of players. This leads me to believe that this is not going to be an easy 3-0 today, right? And I think the name of the game is going to be discipline. I got to talk to Retro Zing a couple of weeks ago. He talked about how AMI are all about discipline, and we saw that CCG had a couple of issues in that second game specifically where they were not super tight on things. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rosters here. We've got CCG's roster. If you were here yesterday, you know what they're all about. It's their franchise player, Crimson in the top lane, Music in the jungle, Young in the mid lane, and Shogo and Fatih-chan on the bottom side.
And those smiles on their faces, well, at least on Music, Shogo, Young, because Fatih-chan and Crimson look just ready, locked in to just win and qualify here. We also heard from the interview of Shogo yesterday, CCG doesn't even feel like they should be here at the promo relegation tournament. They were in a 4-way tie. They just happened to have the worst record in terms of the tiebreakers, and therefore they're down here. But they don't feel it. And the way they played yesterday, I think, shows it. We talked about how they didn't necessarily look the most disciplined. Well, if I had to name it, I'd say they were unleashed. They knew they were good, and they played to their strengths. Agency across the board, which makes for such an interesting matchup against the other side of the match we got today, Apex Mission Impossible. As you're saying, they're preaching discipline. They look great. The teamwork looks really solid in their matches against Lotus and Vancouver Impact. Even when they're down gold against Vancouver Impact, they came back, you know, Decoy, Lojaz frontlining perfectly to allow Retro Zing and Baz to really pump out that damage, and Protoss, meanwhile, doing whatever he needed to, whether it was engage, whether it was running interference, or just buffing up his carries.
And there's a lot of great stories here on this AMI team specifically. You know, many casters, Shibby definitely being one of them, has talked about the year of Lojaz, right? And at the beginning of 2025, it peaked so hard, right? And things have kind of gone down a little bit on the roller coaster, but there is an opportunity here for things to end on a high note. And you take a look at other players like Baz, like Retro Zing. I mean, Baz is playing against his former organization. He was on the CCG Futures team for ACL back in 2023, right? This is where he got one of his big early starts, playing on a really good roster. He's developed quite well as a player, and Retro Zing especially. I mean, this guy is just locked in. He's aware that this is the biggest game of his career so far. He's been on a couple of qualifier runs before, but nothing on the level of this. Got a chance to talk with him earlier today as well, and he mentioned he is more excited than he has ever been. Well, I hope he's excited to get on the red side, because that's the side that his team's going to be starting on.
Yeah, especially when we're talking about Retro Zing, mid lane is a lane where you can get counter picks, so it might be able to benefit Retro Zing, maybe decoy a little bit. We've seen the solo lanes, I feel like, be most impactful when it comes to that counter pick sort of option, unless you're doing role swap shenanigans, which could happen. Retro Zing and Baz both play Corki. We saw CCG be the one to use that Corki as a flex pick yesterday as well.
Let's go ahead and take a look at who we think is going to win today. I believe everybody here is in lockstep. Everybody thinks that CCG is going to win today. listen, it's nothing against AMI. I think AMI are an incredibly strong team, and luckily for luckily for either of these teams today, you do get a second chance, right? It's not a given that CCG is going to win today, but it is nice knowing that you do have a second opportunity. You go right into that second qualification match. You'll just wait for the results of tomorrow's games to see who you're going to actually play against. So it's nice having that little extra cushion behind you, but we do think that CCG, who did have a fairly solid season in Split 2, regardless of how it ended, will take the victory today. RMC, do you really think it's that crazy?
That CCG takes it? Not at all. And Yanni, I mean, for both these teams, yes, they've got a second life, but I don't think they're looking at that at all whatsoever. They're here to win, not to not lose. So they are expecting to just take it, insta-qualify. Yeah, no, I think generally CCG is fairly favored in terms of the fact that they're coming down from the NACL. They had a stronger record. And as you mentioned, in the ACL as well, the two teams did match up, and it was CCG walking away with the win 2-1. Now, I do expect Apex Mission Impossible to put up a fight, though. I don't think this will be a walkover, and I wouldn't be shocked if they did walk away with the win. But as predictions come through, again, all four of us did choose CCG.
Yeah, and I do think it is going to be kind of hard because they've got a tough task ahead of them, as we talked about on CCG, not only because of how good they are, but because they have a couple of ProDiff coaches on their side. Quick shout out to ProDiff. They will allow you to take the opportunity to learn directly from NACL pros. No matter your current rank, you can fast track your road to improvement, scheduling a one-on-one coaching session at prodiff.gg. If you want to learn more about top lane or jungle, specifically Crimson and Music are the guys that you're going to want to look for. Every coach on ProDiff is an active or recent player in the NACL or LTA. They've got the knowledge to help you climb faster.
Tell you what, Yanni, Decoy and Lojaz might be getting some personal 2v2 lessons up on that top side right now. I mean, we talked a little bit about it, the fact that AMI up against Vancouver Impact did go down about 3,000-4,000 gold. It was Decoy and Lojaz who kind of held them through the mid game and gave them the chance, gave them the time to come back in later on. So up against Crimson Music, we'll see if it's the same. We are now into picks and bans. Game 1, once again, CCG on the blue side. They chose this, and Yanni, yesterday, some of those drops that came through from CCG were interesting. They went for that early Rumble pick for Crimson and then didn't build around it. I don't want to see that again. I want to see Crimson get set up for success. I want to see Music give some love to that side.
Yeah, please don't do what you did yesterday, because like the Jarvan was available. You could have just picked that champion, right? And you would have had the hot pot combo. You would have been all good. We are going to see that a couple focus coming out of some of the best champions for the side of AMI. This Maokai is going to be taken off, the Scion too. And I like what AMI is doing, making sure that these high impact champions that can be piloted by the mid and jungle of CCG are not available. They're in the meta for a reason.
Yeah, but what's interesting to me a little bit for the mid laner matchup, Young and Retrosing, is champions like Azir is something that both play. They are both playing a lot of mages recently, Orianna, Talia, Azir. So the bans kind of cut both ways for them. There you go. There's the Orianna ban as well. So with Azir and Orianna gone, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a higher Talia prio between these two teams.
Without a doubt, it is available. The Pantheon is 2. So we'll see if we're going to have any sort of trade come out here. I personally favor the Pantheon a little bit more than the Talia. I think the Pantheon's an easier to execute champion. Plus, you still have a couple of really good options in the mid lane with it. It looks like CCG does too, as they lock it in.
Yeah, fair enough. And if you do want to go to Talia, there are other combos available as well. Before there was Pantheon, there was 5. So that is still another option you can go and lock it. Instead, we spoke about Rumble. It's not coming for Crimson, though. It is going to be Decoy picking that one up.
And I really like this too, because you don't have to pick your jungler right now. This does leave the Jarvan potentially open here for AMI to put together a nice 1-2 punch in your mid lane that can make ganks happen, and you have the hot pot combo for later. I really like what they're doing here. We'll see how CCG responds, especially up in the top lane. Remember, Rumble catching some nerfs recently. His tank matchups aren't as good as they once used to be, and we're going to see the Cassante lock.
Yeah, and with, Galio, Cassante, Scion being banned, there's just so many different options you can run up there. Pantheon as well gives you so much flexibility in the draft, because he doesn't lock you into any one style. Sure, he's not the best at AoE team fighting like the facilitators, but he enables you to get picks. And LeBlanc being quickly locked in, Yanni, that feels a bit out of left field. I like the idea, though. You play around the minefield, not through it. It's great combination with Pantheon. A lot of burst potential to come through there. Not just in the mid lane. You can roam to the jungle as well, because LeBlanc is so mobile. She can really cover distance with you.
I must say, I am a little bit surprised by that. We've typically seen Annie get paired up with Pantheon to accelerate the Pantheon a little bit, right? But now it looks like we're a little bit more focused around this LeBlanc, and with this Vi lock-in coming through, it's not the combo that we expected to see, but it does mean that you can single out this LeBlanc. Now, RMC, what are you looking for in the second half of these bans?
Right now, both these teams are looking for their bot lanes, and it feels like the teams have diverged in terms of what they want to do. We talked about how AMI really focuses on discipline. I'm expecting to see, bot lanes that can kind of team fight a little bit better. Maybe for Protoss, something that has a bit of AoE lockdown, engage to set up this Rumble pick for Decoy, whereas for CCG, they've opted for, well, the Unleash style, the sort of agency style that we saw a lot yesterday. So I'm expecting to see Shogo get something a bit more lane dominant, maybe something like a Lucian or a Jhin, heck, maybe even the likes of a Kai'Sa. If he wants to go for the Draven, I'm not upset with that either. Just lots of damage that can instantly burst out any target that gets caught, that gets locked down by Young and Crimson.
Yeah, so far, this is leading me to believe that we are going to see a more supportive pick out of Shogo here. I'm not sure if the Jhin is going to be the call. Depends on what you see out of support, because you don't really have great ways of your team tagging people to be able to get caught with the Deadly Flourish. And there's a lot of aggressiveness over on AMI, which is why I think that Azaya got taken away. We see some support bans getting sent over the side of AMI. That Lucian that you talked about also going to be off the table. It's too much of a potent champion to have.
And if we do see the likes of a Draven come through, I think AMI would be pretty happy with that, because they have so many ways to kind of lock down a single champion as well. Hence, as you mentioned, why the Zaya ban. CCG, though, still thinking about what they want to ban. I think an 80 carry ban at this point might be too little too late, unless there's one that they're particularly concerned about. So yeah, it makes sense to just go for the support ban instead. And because it's game one, all the supports are still open. You ban the Nautilus, you ban the Alistar, but there's still Rel, there's still Rakan. Heck, there's still Braum if you want a bit more defensive options.
Yeah, we'll see what the options are going to be over on the side of AMI. I think a Poppy could work particularly well. We have a lot of dashes come through. This Ezreal lock-in coming through for AMI leads me to believe that we'll see one of these supports that is particularly strong with an 80 carry they can leave alone. Something like a Bard, maybe.
And we did see Karma, or we didn't see it on the stream, but they did play an Ezra Karma combo for AMI yesterday against Lotus. It'd be very lane dominant, which works well against Shogo, I feel like. Not anymore, though. I think once you see that Sivir lock-in, it's not about lane dominance whatsoever. And they deny the Karma away as well. I like that idea. It's great skill. And I still think AMI just needs AoE initiation to really follow up and to optimize what Decoy can do with Rumble. Sure, low Jazz Vi, single target lockdown, that's great, that's good. But especially when it's like a LeBlanc and a Sivir on the other side, LeBlanc can drag you so far out of position if you try and out on her, and Sivir can just ignore you. So you do need some sort of follow-up CC, preferably ranged, to be able to start things off when Vi's not the option.
Yeah, and it looks like Leona could be a good option here, but they're going to go with the Senna here. So they want not only the CC that Senna brings, but also the scaling on top of it with the sustain. I like it for the lane. I must say, RMC, I think CCG's second half of picks were so sharp here. That Karma breaking up that pairing, but also with the Sivir. This is what CCG's top side needed. They needed a way to be able to chase people down, because that's what these champions do. You're going to get it out of the Karma and Mantra E, and as well as the Sivir ultimate. Yeah,
and the laning of Karma Sivir as well, it's a strong enough lane that they can survive. And really, once Sivir gets like 1.5 items, she's fine to just wave clear. But before that, she does need a bit of help. Picking the Karma here ensures that you get some sort of lane control. Again, I like all the ideas, and Yanni, I fully agree with you. If they can snowball, this comp can go real fast. But that's an if, and I'm looking over at AMI's composition a bit, and I actually really like what they've dropped it still. Despite the fact that it's not an engage, Senna still does a lot of damage. Just skilling's really, really good. Double range the bot lane to be able to match that Sivir Karma quite well. And there's a reason why Vi Talia used to be such a strong combo. There's a reason why we saw so much Vi Rumble. It might not be optimal for team fighting, but it's very good at finding those single catches, winning out some of those early skirmishes. And they too are good at spreading the love. Maybe not quite as fast as Snowball, but if you get Retrozing ahead on this Talia specifically, he really can quickly help out those side lanes. And Vi is gank after low 6.
Yeah, the one concern that I have for this AMI squad is they're very weak early right now. Ezreal, once he gets his Sheen, has decent early power, but Senna is not really there for a lot of damage early on. You have the sustain. Your pick ability is limited to just one ability. Talia isn't also particularly strong early when it comes to damage. So their damage profile early is a little weak, and this does worry me that CCG could bully them around some of these early objectives. What do you think?
I think I'm okay with Talia. She's really good at just kind of holding the lane, and especially into LeBlanc as well. LeBlanc is going through a lot of mana to enable those sort of trades. If Talia is playing carefully, she can quite easily match and get early shove cryo, especially when LeBlanc has used Distort to try and clear or push her wave for roams. Top side, yes, Rumble got nerfed, but I think he should still have a decent time in the early game. So there is a small window where AMI in the laning phase can match or even maybe get a little bit priority on the top side of things. But largely I agree with you, Yanni. There is going to be that little bit of a trough coming through from AMI, you know, that spike coming in from CCG where they can take over early. I'm looking, I think, more at level 6 or so when first items come through for CCG to really try and take the reins of this particular game. And I think 6 will be interesting for both the teams because it unlocks so much. And I kind of feel like Rumble, a lot of times we don't see teams really play around that equalizer as much as I'd like to see when he hits level 6.
Yeah, well, if you ask me, I think CCG's comp is a little bit easier, but we want to hear from you over in Twitch chat because you have the power to vote on who you think will win this game. Hashtag CCG. Do you think CCG is going to take game 1? Or hashtag AMI if you think they're going to start the series up 1-0. RMC, I want to know your thoughts.
Ooh, after watching yesterday, Yanni, to be fair, you know, I feel like CCG showed a lot of stuff, and I like the competition. I like Pantheon LeBlanc. I think it's really, really fun. And Shogo on Silver just was like the perfect insurance policy. So that plus ease of execution has me leaning a little bit towards CCG here. But what about you, Yanni? I know you voted CCG initially, but after seeing the drop, has that changed for you?
No, not at all. I think CCG's draft is just going to be a little bit better early on. I think that AMI are going to give up too much ground, and they're not going to be able to fight back as effectively. There is one caveat to that, and that is specifically if Decoy really shows up on this Rumble. His ultimates are going to be so important. He's not going to have proper setup for them outside of them being just on one target, so it's up to him to use that to control zones along with Retrozing, and maybe, just maybe, they can keep CCG shoved out of some areas, because if I'm CCG, I want to set a focus on these dragons. I know it's Senna on the support role, but even then, she scales really well. Don't want to deal with any of that infinite scaling mess.
Fair enough. And it looks like the chat so far seems to be favoring AMI Apex Mission Impossible, and understandably so. Again, I think they do have options that can come through. And the equalizer, if you look at what CCG have, they don't have that many dashes. It's mostly on Young. Everybody else runs fast, but they do have to run through the red carpet, and that one hurts. And AMI, you know, the story of discipline. We've seen them come back from big deficits before, so even if they fall down early, between Senna's infinite scaling and Ezreal's later game strength, they certainly have ways to get back into this one. And yeah, well, we'll have to see whether or not, first of all, they survive the early game, and if they don't, whether or not they are able to find critical late game plays.
I love that you mentioned the discipline that has to come out of AMI, and the fact that, you know, we've talked about it, we've heard about it, they are a very disciplined team. This requires so much discipline, RMC, because you have Vi coming through and going super deep on that LeBlanc that you talked about earlier. They're going to need to be a suit and tie, all buttoned up, making sure that they're not over chasing. I am getting word that we have a small delay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a break, and when we return, we'll be on Summoner's Rift for Game 1 of this best of 5 series between CCG and AMI. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you very soon. Timer is real. I promise the timer is real. Everybody, welcome back Welcome back. We are just about to get into game. We just came by to say hello because we all love you so much. But here we are on to Summoner's Rift, game 1 of this best of 5 series between CCG and AMI. The winner goes to the NACL in 2026.
Yanni, it's game 1 of a best of 5, so we shouldn't get too crazy about this. It is going to be a great start for whichever team gets out the gates with a win. But what we've been seeing a lot in these sort of best of 5s is game 1s. Teams grab all the sort of OP picks and it kind of burns through a lot of the more meta champions, and then we slowly start seeing teams have to adapt as they go. So it's very interesting to me that we're seeing things like the LeBlanc being picked up, something that's not super meta, that could have been a pocket pick for later on in the series, being used right from the get-go. And I'm curious if that means CCG is just looking for a quick 3-0 as fast as possible here.
I do wonder how that's going to affect draft later on, because now you have to start thinking about on the other side, okay, this is a champion that's available. Are we going to be able to pick it? Are they going to ban it? Do we have to ban it? It just causes more questions. And I think that's something that is really understated as you go later on into a series, the strain that it puts on your coaching staff to determine, like, okay, what is still available and how do the puzzle pieces fit? Because before it was super simple. You could just use the same puzzle every time, maybe sub out a few pieces, maybe shove them in the puzzle, even if they don't fit properly. It still looks good. But now it's just an entire different puzzle every single time. RMC. We see Music already with a full court press here onto LoJazz, going to start up on his chickens, and LoJazz seemingly has no idea.
And I feel like this is a bit of a difference between these two junglers who were my personal focus within this matchup, because they're both so good at ganking their lanes and kind of getting leads for their laners. But Music has shown tons of aggression. Yesterday, he was the one to get some invades off in kind of 50-50 situations. He was willing to go for it. And once again, here, without his lanes backing him up, Music just saying, I'm stronger early and I'm going to push you out. And LoJazz, unfortunately, can't call for help here. His laners need their CS.
Yeah, and I think the biggest issue here, as we have this fight continuously going on, is LoJazz is going to take the big Krug, and a little bit of a back and forth, but LoJazz was able to at least take some of his Krug. The big problem is that how is he going to get back around? Vi, early on, you need to have strong lanes to be able to protect her, but you weren't able to get that early on.
And I feel like a lot of junglers right now as well aren't ganking or doing anything at level 2, level 3. They're just power farming as fast as they can because it's more efficient. And unfortunately for LoJazz, sure, he won more of the jungle camps or more CS out of the jungle camps, but that's jungle camps that were on his side of the map that he was supposed to get. And once he's done clearing the bot side, he doesn't have anything to do. He can't even go for the invade either because Shogo and Farijan are pushed up so far. Protoss has been just taking a ton of poke as well. So if he invades, he's going in without backup once again, whereas Shogo and Farijan will very quickly collapse to help out Music.
And not only that, we see Music clearing out his bottom side now. That means if there's a little scuffle for the scuttle, it should go over to CCG based on the lane dominance they currently have, and the fact that Vi just simply is not as strong as Pantheon early on in the game.
And this is where I feel like you want to talk about teamwork, you want to talk about discipline. Well, you're used to your jungler helping you. What about you helping your jungler? Music? Kind of low.
Oh, they spotted LoJazz.
Oh.
LoJazz is in big trouble. He does have the flash, but he's rooted, and it's first blood going over to Young. Really well played by the mid laner and jungler of CCG.
And honestly, I don't know if it's better or worse that LoJazz couldn't flash, because at least now he has flash. If he flashed over, he gives that kill over to Shogo, which on the short scale, it doesn't change things too much, but long term, that Sivir is what scales. We already see the burst damage that can come through from this Pantheon LeBlanc combo.
And we do have a short pause. Thank you for bearing with us. We just wanted to say hi again. We love you all. And, I really must say, I'm a little confounded by the over-aggressiveness of LoJazz there. I think that maybe he thought that Pantheon was on the top side and maybe wanted to meet him there proper. But, with Vi, again, we oftentimes see Vi picked with champions that are able to get lane advantages to be able to protect her so she can get to level 6. And, when you're that over aggressive, RMC, it just feels like you're not playing to what the champion is meant to do early on.
Fair enough, and I don't think it should have been that bad for Lojas. I think it's a really good identification for Music to say that, okay, if I do a level 1 invade at this point, they don't really want to leave their lanes to back up their jungler. So even if you have winning lanes, they're probably not going to help you at level 1 when they're already engaged in trades, when the minions are already in the lane. So I think it's a really good identification for Music, and for Lojas, he was kind of feeling the pressure to try and make something happen so he doesn't fall too far behind.
Yeah, and we'll see how this reverberates throughout the game. But right now, I mean, when you are able to get a Vi behind, the longer it takes for Vi to get to 6, the better. If you are CCG, that too, man. Fed LeBlanc, it's over, bro. Like, this is going to be very problematic. He's going to be able to go back and probably pick up not only. Actually, he has a couple options. You can probably farm to Lost Chapter or get that ever important Dark Seal and start stacking it up.
Sure, and for Retrozing, that's going to be the issue, right? Because Retrozing's on Talia, and we said that early on, just in base stats and base abilities, the Talia will be fine into the LeBlanc. But a lot of Talias right now like to build into that Seraph's Embrace, and while you're building that tier, while you're sat on that, while you're trying to get that Lost Chapter, you're not going to match a LeBlanc who's fed early if she starts buying straight up AP and trying to kill you. And that doesn't even take into account the Pantheon, where he just needs to run by the lane, point and click. Even if you get the minefield down, which stuns Pantheon, he doesn't care. It's buffered through. His stun goes through, and it's not about him. The stun's just there to set up LeBlanc.
Yeah, and LeBlanc will be able to burst you out without any problem whatsoever. So now, all of a sudden, you're kind of on the back foot early on. If you're AMI, the spot lane is getting shoved in. Yes, you're able to sustain up quite a bit, but again, you're not really getting any real advantages there. So ultimately, it's what kind of value are the Senate and Karma going to provide to try to keep things ahead for CCG or turn things if you're AMI. The Senna can certainly keep you sustained up a little bit, but the Karma, the CC is point and click, right? The Q it has a slow and has a the field with it and a little bit more damage. The shield gives you movement speed, and it's a point and click. Again, you don't need to stay around the Senna, so the value that you get there is really, really big, RMC, as we are getting back onto Summoner's Rift here. All right. Let's see where we're at currently. Nothing too crazy has happened since. It's
the Dark Seal though, Yanni. You called it. Young knows he's strong, wants to increase his pressure there. Music now invading again on the bot side of the map, because why not? You just killed Lojaz anyways, and here we go. Here's that sort of CC chain that can come through.
Oh, he went in. He flashed after him. Retrozing is forced to flash away. Music will be okay. Young took a turret shot on the back side here. Very worrisome, but I like the aggressiveness.
And they almost got the kill. They blow the flash. Trading flashes are fine. Decoy though?
Oh wait, he went for Retrozing and he got him. I don't know if Decoy's gonna actually get here in time. Big flash, but here we go. It was not known. Decoy comes down and cleans up Music.
Decoy being the anti-decoy, he was the real play. CCG just didn't see it coming, and well played, shutting down that Dark Seal stacking that Young went for. And that's why Music and Young were so aggressive. They knew they could get the kill, and they were just looking to stack that Dark Seal. But that roam down from Decoy changes everything. Because right here, even if you kind of trade, Music for that, it's kind of okay. And Music was thinking, okay, I don't think Lojaz has enough burst, but the extra damage from Decoy is enough to change that. And now Lojaz was originally set behind. Getting that kill really helps to be that rubber band, to be that catch-up mechanic for him to get back into the game. And he's actually up experience right now on Music.
Ball's in your court, Music, because we have a lot of flashes down, right? Decoy is flashless. Retrozing is flashless. Could see some advantages come out. We might even see one immediately come out here because Decoy is going to get tethered up and doesn't really have anywhere to go. It's good damage down onto the Rumble.
Jogo using the spell sheet and sidestepping just to make doubly sure. And with this lane swap coming through as well, I think sure, Crimson, normally the Cassante being sort of a melee champion has a slightly harder time. You just sit on turret. Rumble's actually pretty decent in a 1v2 situation normally. But that's where Karma comes in, because now it is double ranged into him. Rumble is going to eat a lot of poke, and they're already swapping Protoss back down to try and help out Decoy. If not, I don't think he gets to sit in this lane. I don't think he gets to CS, and he's just going to fall further and further behind.
Yeah, it's going to be a big issue if that happens. You need to make sure that Decoy is strong, because I believe he is the strongest champion on your team up until, Ezreal hits his 2-item spike and, Senna has infinite scaling. I mean, there's a big point in the game where Rumble will be very, very big, very impactful. So you got to feed him, got to get him as much as possible, but also keep him as safe as possible. As we do see that Baz is up on the top side right now. So again, we have Decoy on the bottom side. He even has his teleport up.
Yeah, it's interesting that Protoss started walking bot and actually walked away and is now hitting into the top side. So it's really tough for Decoy. He's already less than half health after walking back, and he has to be hyper conscious about potential dives. I'm not even talking about roams, Yanni. I'm not talking about music or Young going down there yet, and they very well could, especially once music hits 6. I'm talking about just Shogo and Fadijan straight up diving the turret.
It's an uncontested Dragon going over to CCG. You saw Lojaz on the bottom side. Not much hay that he can make down there, so a very good map play here by CCG so far.
Okay, and with that Dragon picked up uncontested, Decoy actually teleporting back to lane.
Going for punishment.
Away. Yeah, and there is now a teleport desync that we're seeing where Crimson's got his, and CCG could potentially make some sort of grub play and still get Crimson down in time to be able to catch the wave, or what they're doing right now where they send Crimson down there with the potential to teleport to a grub fight. So AMI, they want the grubs, but I don't know how strong or how comfortable they really are going for it. Normally, Sivir takes some time to scale. She's kind of weak early on, but if you've got an extra body, that counts for a lot.
This feels like largely a grub denial here if you're AMI, right? Rumble, not really the best champion to utilize it. Later on, Senna, sure, is really going to love it, but I think this is more so a takeaway from the strong side laning of LeBlanc, the ability to just really chew through waves of Sivir, and of course, the ever dangerous split pushing Cassante.
Yeah, and there's just so much split push potential from CCG with not just the LeBlanc and Cassante, but even Pantheon can do it with his ult. I like that AMI have started the first one, because even if you only take away one, that'd be good. You're just trying to deny away as much as you possibly can. And I think did they actually got 2? Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's really good.
Yeah, felt like CCG may have been a little flat-footed there, but again, it's the time investment that comes in for AMI that is, CCG says, hey, you know what, we're okay with that. They are forced to make this play to try to deny these away from us, and that means that we get more time in the lanes hanging out for them.
Sure. And I think Protoss as well will be happy to get some souls. Usually Senna enjoys playing into melee supports, but into the double range, Protoss probably not going to pick up as many souls as he would normally get, so getting some from neutral objectives, always nice too.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult to farm those up. So again, we say that, hey, Senna support might be worth something damage-wise a little bit later. It's going to be a lot of it later, potentially, in this game. Things have slowed down quite a bit, especially on the jungler front, but with both of them now being level 6 RMC, there are potential plays to be made. The flashes that were previously down are all now back up, so an extra layer of security for all the champions that have.
I think for AMI, this level 6 is important because they weren't really able to push out early on, but now they really don't want to. And there's the caveat of what we saw from Music yesterday in that game 1 against, who was there? Zenshi, where Music's very willing to dive a turret. Heck, we saw at the beginning of this game when him and Young went diving for RetroSync. So now all the lanes have to make sure that they are fairly healthy in their matchups. They dip below 30%, then you've just got to watch for that Grand Starfall, and that's going to take a lot of time away from the Lojaz.
Young took a bad trade in the mid lane, and Music was up a little bit too far, but here comes Crimson. Seismic shove to keep Music away. A very nice job there from the AMI mid-jungle duo.
Denying away a lot of time for Music. He was the one who committed to that blue buff, ended up just leashing it. Lojaz swings by, smites it away, wins that, and continues that slight edge that he got after Music got caught out mid lane. So yeah, ball still in Music's court to try and, get some impact on the map. Lojaz is happy just power farming where he is right now.
And now we're really wondering what's going on here with Music and with this Grand Starfall, because he has not used it yet. And as a Pantheon, much like a Nocturne, you really want to use this thing on cooldown to be able to burn summoners, get kills if the situation calls for it. And the fact that we have not seen it yet, I must say, is quite disappointing, RMC.
I think, to be fair, his lanes aren't really set up for it. They've all been pushing. So unless he wants to go diving, it is kind of tough for him to look for that. RetroZing, the other person, of course, with the globals as well in the mid lane, hasn't had a chance to use the Weaver's Wall. I think Young has been doing a phenomenal job in the mid lane. We're seeing CS differentials favoring CCG, and that's where this gold lead's coming from, in the solo lanes. But Young is really pulling away from this one, whereas Decoy, I think he lost out a lot with those sort of lane swaps coming through. That one really hurt him. Baz and Protoss, though, they're doing well for themselves. And so I think that's sort of the advantage of the lane swap and why AMI chose to do it. They're investing more for the late game with Baz than they are for the early mid game with Decoy.
We see first items coming out here for Young and Shogo. Shogo opting into this Essence Reaver build, so is content to just chew through waves and not too worried about big damage in some of these early fights. I generally prefer that build just so you never have to worry about running out of mana, and that means that somebody at all times is going to have to stay on top of a Shogo lane. Crimson and Decoy, a little bit of trading. We haven't really talked about them too much outside of the early play made by Decoy.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't really even been laning into each other very much. They're finally reunited in this top side, and Crimson seems to be enjoying it with all the magic resistance he's built up. Faded Ashes for Decoy at this point, so yeah, he doesn't even have that extra like, damage, the burn that often comes through with haunting guys. And Young in a 1v2 still threatening.
Yep, Music has been spotted. Low Jazz is coming from behind as Protoss gets flashed on. He's trying to get away. He gets bursted out. Young gets his third kill of the game, and now we're going to see Roots and more damage coming through. But meanwhile, on the top side, all out onto the turret. Crimson makes the play, and he gets out.
That is clean. That is the unleashed prowess. That's the agency that we saw so much from CCG yesterday, where it feels like every single player has the hands, will be winning their matchups. And sure enough, we saw that. I love the mid lane roam as well from Fadijan. A lot of times with these Enchanter supports, we see them as more, babysitters. They sit with their AD carry, they make sure you're healthy, they survive. Like, what's a Senna roam gonna do? But Karma's a little bit different, because one, her empowered mantra Q really hurts when it hits, and she's got the tether, and that's 3 pieces of CC they dropped down onto Protoss. He was not getting wet.
A second dragon picked up here for CCG, and that's gonna put AMI in a very tough position. You are almost forced to try and get position on that third dragon. Just a couple of minutes, we're gonna have the Rift Herald come up as well, a minute and 40 seconds. That's gonna be the site of the next big fight potentially, as Young is looking to take over the game fully.
Okay, up against Decoy, this matchup not going quite as comfortably. Decoy with the the movement speed that he's getting from Scrap Shield as well, just able to break that tether pretty much every single time it goes in. Yanni, AMI, we talked about their scaling. Normally, they would start spiking around that sort of second item when the mirror mana completes. Young
used one distortion. The Mimic is going to get triggered, and he goes after the proper target. Really well done there by Low Jazz. Made it look easy. It's a second kill for Decoy.
Good point and click, and I do love the fact that Young actually didn't even try and flash away or anything. He's holding that. He's dead to rights. He wasn't getting away. Fadijan and Music, though.
Okay. Low Jazz was able to escape there. He just slides out of there, says, hey, I'm all right. Things are good. And so far, getting the early pressure on the side lanes, very, very good for AMI to try to wrestle control back in this game.
Low Jazz wins this Smite fight again. That's 2 for 2 now in terms of securing objectives in the face of Music. Baz, brother, you gotta be careful. Shogo is looking kind of hungry and with on the hunt. If Baz uses Arcane Shift Forward that aggressively next time, he might have to use the flash to get back out.
Yeah, and we do see the Herald up in about 25 seconds. And remember, backing takes 8 seconds. It takes a while to get out of the base, too. This would be a late timer for Baz to back on, so we'll see if that's going to hurt AMI quite a bit. We already see pings going up on the top side. Music in a dead sprint up there, looking to take the Herald for CCG.
Baz had to cancel his recall. He was thinking about going back, trying to get some items, but just didn't have time to do it. And the threat from Shogo and Fadijan with the long-range poke that they have as well to cancel it was good enough. Decoy now roaming up. Keep in mind, Decoy, no equalizer. So this fight would not favor AMI if it does break into a full 5v5.
It is coming up soon, and it might be up for the post-Herald fight, because this Herald is starting to rapidly fall. Decoy moving in. It's almost up, 5,000 HP as Low Jazz went over to Fadishan, but now he's going to be the one rooted up. He's forced to flash away. We're going to go back onto the Herald, and here comes that equalizer. It's right on top of Shogo. It's going to force him away and do good damage. Crimson, though, in a 1v4 with the 3-man knockoff. It doesn't matter, because Crimson will not yield. Baz is forced to flash away over on the other side of the fight. Retros can't even get in, but Crimson continuing to go after AMI. Here comes the True Shot Barrage. Does good damage, but doesn't get a kill. And Young is going to hop in along with Music, getting good damage, and Retrosing can only watch as this team falls apart.
Any emotion that we call Grand Starfall when Music's playing it, the beat drop. Because when that thing hits, man, that drop right onto Baz. Already burnt all his summoners in the previous fight. And this fight starts 4v5 for AMI. Meanwhile, CCG was getting all that poke as well, and by the time the Weaver's Wall comes through for Retrosing, the fight was over, which is why Retrosing just decided to hop off on the safe side of it. It's not that, he made a mistake or he didn't want to join the fight. It was just kind of done. And right there, the beat drop from Music, that was just extra.
We saw in a series yesterday that Crimson didn't really get to shine too much, in my opinion, RMC. And already 16 and a half minutes into game one of this best of 5 to get back in the NACL, he has already made his mark on this game.
Yeah, CCG in general, I think all of them except for Shogo right now has made a very strong mark on this game. And for Shogo, that's the scary part. Because Shogo is the other shoe right now for AMI. Like, they're waiting for the 2-item power spikes. That's normally when, the Ezreal starts to come online. When maybe the Senna is going to start having a little bit more impact, when Talia is going to start having impact as well. But if they hit that 2-item power spike, Shogo's online. And then suddenly, this lead that CCG have with an AD carry who can pump up tons of teamfight damage just feels like it nullifies all the scaling that AMI was doing up to that point.
Retrozing might be stuck. He is on a bit of an island, but Music and Fadichan electing to move over to the side. Young taking a lot of damage here. Retrozing is going to flash away, though.
Yep. Has to. He didn't know where Music was, right? And look at the vision control. That top side's blind.
Oh, Shogo
Shogo.
to get on top of him, but he's able to flash out of it. He's
Very
alive
rare.
for right now. And it looks like he will survive fully. Now, this turret is starting to fall. Here comes Music on the way, trying to get close. Big stun going down, and they turn it around. Low Jazz is dead. Shogo gets his first. Baz shifting
the
forward with the
barrier!
barrier. Baz is dead too. Here comes Crimson, but he did get stunned. Young trying to get onto Protoss here. Here comes Fadichan as the walls are closing in. Protoss has nowhere to go, and he is dead. It's a third kill for Crimson as CCG are running all over AMI.
And with these numbers advantage right now, they're going to press in. Decoy has Equalizer, but they're diving for Retrozing.
Well, Retrozing, you have no flash, but luckily you do have Decoy nearby to at least keep you upright. They are really working down this mid turret. Good damage coming through, and they didn't even use the Rift Herald.
Wonderful buffer from Crimson as well to get out. Decoy didn't use the Equalizer to clear the wave, so a lot of damage came down. I wonder if he's holding it for that Dragon, because Hextech Drake is up, and this one's soul point for CCG already. CCG, though, they're not in time, and Fadijan gets caught up.
Yep, that Weaver's Wall will make this problematic for the Karma. Let's see if Fadichan's able to actually get out. He's put himself in a weird corner, and he's forced to flash away, but reinforcements coming in from CCG. They want this Dragon. Rift Herald used on the mid lane. Will be able to get that mid-tier 1 turret as they want control. Meanwhile, Retrozing in a 2v1 on the bottom side, and the rest of AMI can't get to him. And now Crimson, he wants to walk in again. 1v4, he liked it before, and he likes it now. Low Jazz will be able to get over the wall, but AMI forced completely away. Young in hot pursuit, looking to blow up Low Jazz over the top. That beat drop, because there's Music, there's the squad. Crimson, undaunted and fearless, a double kill, and CCG get an ace.
So that B drop, am I getting real quiet right now? Because there ain't nobody left on the rip for them. Shelly gets 2 turrets as well with that charge. And CCG, they get the kills, they get the Dragon, soul point by the way, and they get 2 turrets to boot. The goalie just exploded as well, and for AMI, it's looking dire. I don't even know if they can scale back in this time, and all of that from Retrozing, trying to get a pick, getting that chunk, and then not getting back out fast enough.
And I respect it. I think at that point in the game, you were in a really bad way, and you needed to turn the fight somehow, and you just could not get to Fadichan. Fadichan was able to burn his flash earlier, but really, it's the rest of AMI not linking up, and, AMI is a team that, when it comes to fighting as a unit, they've been so good, but they've been thoroughly outplayed by CCG's teamwork in game 1.
And I feel like the teamwork is kind of biting themselves in the back right now with how it's been playing, because instead of just running out there and abandoning whoever is getting caught, they're still trying to stay together and protect that person. That's causing them to lose not just one member, but the entire team when people get caught out. Look, if you're even close, a lot of times grouping up like that, it's a good idea, because if you're in together is better than making the proper play single alone.
Oh no!
Young.
Baz gets blown up. Here comes the Equalizer over the top. That means that Young is dead.
Okay.
It ends up being a 1-for-1 in the end, as Otacon has been started by CCG.
Can AMI stop this? Low Jazz is kind of getting zoned out by Fadijan right now.
Weaver's Wall, Fadichan on the wrong side of the tracks with the shield,
Dodging
and
everything.
he's able to dodge out on the Q as well, keeping Low Jazz and Retrozing's attention as the Otacon goes down.
And are they going to look for the turn now? No, without Young, they're not confident about it. Yeah, those are some 80s carry mechanics right there. Shogo, dip and dodge and dive in. Fadijan might have changed roles, but he's still got those 80s carry hands. Just sidestepping all of it, dodging Low Jazz and Retrozing, and that was the issue for Low Jazz. You got to make a decision. Do you go for the kill, or do you go for the Hail Mary with the Otacon? And I think maybe they didn't have full vision, so they didn't know how low it was. And by the time they did, LoJazz already made the call, and the call was kill.
Yeah, and I think that's just an incorrect measure on the game state because, you know, from experience that I've seen in other leagues, Otacon is one of the few objectives, much like Baron, that can really slingshot you back into the game. If you are the team that did not start it and you're able to, you know, maybe get a kill or two or even take it away. I think that when you're down this far, you have to sell out for it.
And hey, maybe that choice right there, call it a pro diff, right? We talked about Music and Crimson, maybe giving some coaching lessons to Decoy and LoJazz, and right there, that's a lesson that LoJazz could learn. Music was focused on the Otacon.
Yeah, he was, and it's a pretty big issue right now for AMI. Down 16 kills to 5, down 8,000 gold. CCG staring a soul in the face in just a couple of minutes.
Okay, so for AMI at this point, the game is pretty tough, and usually when you hit this early in the game, you're kind of just looking at them to find picks to get back in the game, because we're not assuming CCG is going to throw. It's getting pretty tough as well. The gold and item lead, CCG is pretty strong. So I'm looking at LoJazz once again with Decoy. LoJazz this game has not had a fun time. 2-4-1. He's tried to make some plays happen, and they've managed to find some picks onto Young. So I want to see more of that. You know, those picks into Young are good, but trying to set it up with the equalizer as well, and maybe with Retro Zing, just kind of powering in there as well. He's got a decent amount of chunk burst in his pocket as well. You find one over and over again, maybe you turn around. Crimson right now is the target. He's really
Yep, he's going to find himself quickly in a 1v3, but and guess what? You pull him away, and then Music comes over the top as well. Protoss is in trouble. He goes down. Yeah, do what you can, LoJazz, but you're stunned, and you're dead too.
Okay.
The pro diff coaches,
Jeez.
Crimson and Music, getting it done. And if you want to learn directly from guys like them, you can fast track your road to improvement by scheduling a one-on-one coaching session with those guys. They are active in recent NACL or LTA players, by the way, on prodiff.gg. And I know that I'd be confident for those guys to teach me to climb faster.
Fair enough. And hey, huge shout out to Crimson as well. Yesterday, it was really hard for him to get MVP because he was up against Dr. Calculus, and Dr. Calculus was just nullifying the lane and just being a brick. So Crimson didn't get the highlight plays. But so far this game, Crimson is deathless. Crimson is in there. He's made some amazing plays. He's able to punish Decoy as well and really shut him down after those lane swaps through. I think he's, what, 5-0-7 right now, Crimson is? Like, he is doing phenomenally well with Sante.
Yeah, he is just crushing the game right now. I mean, this guy, I know that I'm going to be voting him for you know, the Game 1 MVP. That guy was
Sure, yeah.
absolutely incredible. We'll see if he's able to keep it up the entire series, but right now, CCG in full control. AMI trying to do something here. They're all on top of Music, but Music is still standing. Guess what? Crimson wasn't even in that fight, and now he wants his way in. Fadichan flashing forward just for the slow, and Crimson is going to walk his way up. Giga Chad Casante going forward.
There we go!
He flashes forward, but he might have bit off a little bit more than he could chew. He's got to stop, but that's 2 members down on AMI. That's a soul on the table for him.
His all-out came up a couple of seconds after he flashed. I think he was looking for the flash into all-out combo. Unfortunately, wasn't able to find it, but CCG right now, Music is going to solo out the Dragon. I was wondering if they're going to actually push up in a 4v3, but instead I think they're going to reset and make sure they've got control over the Baron, since that is on the table. And that is one of the way AMI can maybe look to get a comeback. It's still a long stretch even if they get it, but it would be a start.
Soul in the back pockets of CCG, 25.5 minutes in. It has been utter domination so far, RMC. They can't even, they've had so much trouble catching Fadichan. Here we go, there's a teleport on the top side. They're going to try to sell out to try to get Shogo and Fadichan, but guess what? They started turning because who's coming through? The teleport from LeBlanc. And look at the mid lane, look at the mid lane. Yeah. Crimson is pushing.
I think they were hesitating. They didn't know which teleport was coming in. Young taking a chunk, but he's just delaying them.
The auto damage too. You saw Shogo auto LoJazz once, and he's like, I gotta get out of here, man. This is not something you can survive. Neither is the Pantheon over the top. And Crimson came from their base. That is the worst feeling in the world. Multiple members falling. It's Baz and Decoy, the lone wolves for AMI.
I don't think they need Baron, Yanni. I think they can just push that. And they've got a wave in the mid lane. That's an open inhibitor. They've got Shogo ready to just rip right through. Decoy has no equalizer. True Shot Barrage used to clear, but it's limited use right now.
An equalizer wouldn't even equalize this game. These teams were not equal in game one, RMC. CCG roll to a fairly easy victory as they are putting the I's and crossing the T's on these letters. Anybody actually gonna die, or am I gonna get at least one more kill? No, it's not happening. Guys, just hit the Nexus, please. Put them out of their misery. Finally, and now we're gonna move on to game two. A 15K gold lead coming out from CCG. RMC. That was ridiculous, man. I mean, early on, sure, a little even, but CCG just pulled away.
And so far, CCG in this tournament has put on clinical early games. They really show you how good they are and how you can run a lot of these compositions that are just kind of based around the early game. Music, Young, Crimson just absolutely popping off. But Yanni, for Apex Mission Impossible, this is only game one of a best of 5, and you can't call it Mission Impossible if it's easy. So all of this is just set up for the show.
True. And, you know, one thing that I really disliked out of that game is the early fighting from Low Jazz. Again, you know, Vi, sure, she can scrap a little bit, but not on the level of Pantheon, right? And I think that if you're going to get that aggressive and try to fight back that hard, that you really need to pick a more aggressive jungler coming through. And Low Jazz has some of those options, right? Like Xin would have been pretty okay there. You know, obviously Zed, you know, team comps are team comps. They are what they are. But, you know, we never actually know what the best option would have been there, but it turns out did not work out so well for Low Jazz in that first game.
For sure. And I do feel like part of it was put on by that early invade. And props to Low Jazz for actually coming back. He got quite a few good ganks after that, but certainly that early aggression did come back to bite it. But Yanni, there's still many games in the tank, and these two teams, they've got to go to game 2. AMI, a lot to discuss, and CCG, they still have to think about, okay, what do we go for game 2? Do we see more early game aggression, or do they index for more, you know, team fighting mid-late skill?
I have no idea, RMC. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen in the rest of the series. We're going to go ahead and step away for our short break. When we return, it'll be the Game 2 draft coming through. CCG and AMI with CCG up 1-0.
Using the Pop Blossom just to stall the fight, but Tomio and Fake God fall over with their own flashes as they get the decimating smash.
Hey everyone, I'm Tomio, jungler for Luminosity, and I'm here to break down the early macro sequence that gave us a big lead going into the mid game against Darkseer Dragonsteel from week 2, day 2 of the NACL in this Pro Div deep dive. Starting off, we have a numbers advantage on the top side of the map, and we show as if we're looking to make a play on the top lane outer tower. Our vision line in DZ's topside jungle lets us know that Kizno isn't on the top part of the map, so Kaze and Bessa is forced to use teleport from bot lane in order to defend the play. Since we know that Kizno Xin Zhao isn't on the top side, his natural response to a top lane play from us is to use Rift Herald mid. Since we're not actually planning on committing to a fight top lane, I shadow mid lane and wait for Kizno to use the Rift Herald. I'm able to position perfectly to flank Kizno and Sajed, who probably expected me to be further towards top with the rest of my team. I'm able to land all my CC on Kizno and we get the kill on him as well as the Rift Herald. This is a big swing for us since we deny DZ the tower, gold, and get a kill and the feats of warfare for ourselves. DZ at this point is feeling pretty pressured to respond with a play of their own, and since now have more members on the top side, they try to kill 5 minis Azir. He puts up the Sun Disc, which makes it a lot harder for DZ to kill him and gives Fake God San a great teleport. Toasty's Talia uses the Weaver's Wall to try to block off Azir and hit him with her full combo, but a great shifting sense lets him dodge the seismic shove and avoid all of Talia's damage here. Azir can kill the whole wave here, and once Mbessa misses her ultimate, DZ is in an even worse spot. We know we have a numbers advantage and DZ overextended trying to kill Azir, so we rush back top to try to pick them off as they're retreating. Zazel Braum is a great flash here to ensure he lands his CC on Talia and Nico. I'm able to catch up and twist an advance onto Nico, who has a good pop blossom to save this from being even worse for DZ. But we're able to get a kill on Talia and force the flashes out of all 3 DZ members here, and then go back to take the top lane outer tower. At the start of this play, it's an even game where DZ has a potential tempo swing by using Rift Herald. By the end, we've negated their Rift Herald and swung the gold lead by 2k in our favor, putting us in a commanding position to dictate the rest of the game and eventually take the win. Thanks for watching. You can check out one-on-one coaching from me and other NACL pros at prodiff.gg. To stay up to date on everything NACL, follow Watch NACL on Twitter and make sure to catch the games on NACL's Twitch or YouTube. We'll see you next time.
Welcome back, everybody, to the NACL 2026 Split 1 Promotion Tournament. We just finished the first game of our qualification match between CCG and AMI, and CCG ran away with this game early, RMC. I mean, Crimson just put on a show at that Herald fight.
Yeah, this top side of CCG just kind of took over the game and just ran with it. I mean, this dive feels like it kind of exemplifies a lot, right? The way that show goes really low and just kiting all around. And like you said, Crimson was the wrecking ball. He was the anvil of CCG, where the rest of the team was just a hammer slamming AMI repeatedly, and AMI just had nowhere to go. That wasn't even the only time Crimson just found a wraparound from behind, but AMI, Yanni, the early game started kind of rough. I actually appreciate that LoJazz was able to come back in. So there are signs of life in the early game for them, but I agree with you, maybe change up the picks a little bit, something that can facilitate LoJazz being that aggressive, especially from RetroZing, because mid-jungle synergy is so important.
And not only that, I think you need to pick a little bit for LoJazz here. Because this bot lane, while Ezreal and Senna certainly can, get shoved in because of their sheer poke, when you're going up against a wave clear champion like a Sivir, it's so difficult to deal with, and you need to really protect your jungler so those type of invades don't happen. Yes, it wasn't the worst thing in the world in that particular game because LoJazz was able to fight out of it, but that's not typically how things should go. And I can't imagine that Music is going to let LoJazz off the hook like that again.
No, I personally believe anytime you see strong lanes from CCG, Music's going to be invading. Heck, even if you don't see strong lanes from CCG, like yesterday, if it's even close to 50-50, I think Music's going to take some risks. Now, we have word that Apex Mission Impossible has selected blue side, so they will get first pick, and we'll see, what sort of priority they want to go for. While there were a lot of strong meta champions that were selected away, I feel like jungle kind of wasn't that highly, or with the Vi coming through for the partnership with Talia, it has left open things like the Xin Zhao that we see a lot more. The Wukong, I think that's very, very popular right now. And I know, Yanni, you've got a personal soft spot for Poppy. That's still on the table, whether it be top, jungle, or support.
I don't have a soft spot for that champion. I hate that champion. I think that champion is broken, though. I mean, there's so much mobility creep in the game. There's so many walls. This champion is insane. And, people are playing it. Champion does a lot of damage, too, and it really shouldn't, no matter whether it's a jungler or a support. But trust me, it's not a soft spot. It's a great utility pick. I'm a big fan of it as that pick. We'll see if either of these teams elect to go ahead and pick it up, because we are into the draft for Game 2 of this Best of 5 series, with CCG having the lead so far. We'll see, RMC, if this is a blue side win series.
Okay, Apex Mission Impossible, reminder of what the three bans were on the red side game one. They went Azir, Wukong, Orianna, which is interesting because a lot of focus on Young, but a lot of shared champions that RetroZing himself could have played. Now he's on blue side, they're taking out the Syndra for now, and for CCG, they went with Maokai, Sion, Nico as their first two bans.
See if we see things that are relatively the same. We're already seeing mid lane really getting focused out here. Don't want Young on any of these champions, and I like that they're pulling out a champion that's got solid laning and pick potential, and the Galio, which has that global presence. It feels like CCG, when they get a global champion, they just perform better.
It's interesting too, because I don't think of Young as sort of a Galio player. I really like the way he played LeBlanc, and I feel like he's such a mechanical mid laner. And this is not for top lane either, because you've already played the Rumble game 1, and that's when you take Galio into top lane, was specifically when you're running against Rumble. So interesting choices. Again, the Maokai ban, so I expect CCG go with a Nico ban for their last ban potentially. And for AMI, because they've switched things up so much, do they just go for another mid lane ban and then first slam that Wukong?
It's a great question, RMC. Wukong is such a strong champion right now, and I think gives LoJazz the ability to fight a little bit, as well as have that impact level 6 onward. see what CCG wants to take off the table again. It feels like they're very much set in their ways when it comes to bans so far. Again, I imagine, as you mentioned, that Nico could be off the table. It's a Protoss special, right? He plays this a lot. It has such good early impact, but instead we're going to see the Varus take away. So now they're focusing down back.
Okay. You know what? If we're going to see a Protoss special, Yanni, I want to see that elite. I haven't seen it
I do
recently,
too.
but...
I do too.
Okay, so not the Wukong. They've gone with the Azir instead, and I kind of like the idea there. I mean, with the Orianna, with the Azir, I guess they favor the Azir side of that matchup, so they're okay to have both open and give it away. But if you're CCG, if you want a nice, solid team fighting composition, and granted, we've not seen that too much from them. They like their agency a lot more, but it's game 2 to best 5. You can just pick it to get it out of the system. You can just go with the Wukong Orianna. That's a great ball delivery system. A lot of AoE to come through. Getting the knock-up into the pull together from the Shockwave into more damage from the Spinning Cyclone is a disgusting combo.
And not only is it a pretty good answer, but lane-wise, it's pretty solid, right? Like, the Orianna can play into the Azir. Obviously, Azir can hit you from a little further away, but QW combo from Orianna does do a lot of damage. And now we're going to see Kog'Maw come through. Feels like a bit of a non-bow with our mid-jungle here. But again, we saw Cupid pull it out yesterday, and it's really good when it comes to matching Azir's range.
And it was CCG who beat that Kog'Maw specifically, so it's kind of interesting that we're seeing it come through here. Again, a flex pick can go bot, it can go mid. We'll kind of have to see where it goes with that. And for AMI right now, they're probably thinking real hard about how they want to answer this. I'd love to see a Xin Zhao. That feels like the answer into Wukong that we've seen in pro play for the most part. They've got the Ashe for now. I like it. That's good engage. It's a bit of a slower start. Doesn't quite match the range of the Kog'Maw later on, but at least the laning should be fine.
All right, we're going to get an Ashe locked in here. And this is a champion that, while you can dish out a fair amount of poke in the bot lane, it can be exploited. And I am curious to see if we're going to have some hard engage come out from CCG a little bit later in the draft. We are just going to go with the full CC, full poke bot lane coming through. And it's an Akali lock-in. All right, this throws a wrench into everything, RMC.
Oh, it's a very CCG pick. Right? Again, a champion with a lot of agency. It's not backing up the Wukong. It's not necessarily working as a front line for the Kog'Maw. Instead, Young, I'm assuming Young and not Crimson is taking this, is going to be just trying to cause as much chaos as possible. And with the Ashe, she is very vulnerable. Like you were talking about hard engage, well, there's another way to deal with the Ashe. Just burst her down with hyper mobility before her slows mean anything, and trying to land Enchanted Crystal Arrow on an Akali. That feels like an exercise in frustration.
Without a doubt, and this does mean that we're going to see the Kog'Maw come through on the bottom side, which means this Ashe might be okay to live another day. This might be a lane where we're seeing Shogo really under the gun early on, but who knows? This Akali could go to the top side. Crimson not really known for that, but again, it is something that you need to shout out and be aware of. Skarner and Alistar being taken off the ban list here for the second half of the draft.
And with both top laners really yet to be confirmed, I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of see a bit of a focus for AMI on trying to maybe remove some of the top laners that might be a problem for them, because CCG gets counterpick, and I love to see CCG just pick up a support here, right? Something tanky, and that's why we're seeing the Alistar remove. Rel maybe as well could be something they take out as another sort of defensive support, but there's still things like the Braum, which pairs really well with the call.
You know what, RMC? I think we're going to see a utility pick. I think we're going to see an Enchanter. Lulu Cog is the tried and true classic, right? And, you know, you have good ability to keep this Kog'Maw alive, because I'm assuming that he's probably going to go cleanse. You're going to be able to pick up a Mikhail's for him. Mikhail's Redemption as your 1-2 punch will be really strong. And then maybe we're looking for full tank engage out of the top side. But instead, we're going full aggression. We're just going to go ahead and pick Leona into this. RC, I'm not with it. I'm not with it.
You know, Yanni, I get where you're coming from. I think the original Juggermore was, you know, sort of double enchanters with it, and even single enchanter works really, really well. But I'm liking the engage more specifically because you're playing into Nico Ashe, right? If you go with the support, sure, you might survive a bit longer, but the level 6 is going to get kind of dicey. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow into the Pop Blossom is a lot of damage, and I don't think the Enchanted support can keep you alive. So why not just double down on aggression? Just go with the Leona. And this is Shogo's bot lane with Bodyjohn. They love to get that early aggression. It's going to be the top lane locked in for AMI now, with Gragas being picked up.
Are we sure?
I say top lane. It could go jungle. That's fair.
We still don't even know.
I'm calling Poppy
That's
jungle.
the best part. I think you're right. I absolutely think you're right. And I love this Poppy pick here. Again, we've talked about it a lot. The mobility creep that's in League of Legends. You get to stuff Wukong and prevent him from getting off really good cyclones. You get to stop Akali's ultimate. You get to stop this Leona from being able to engage immediately. And not only that, now you've got this Kog'Maw who doesn't really have any ability to try to get away. If you get a proper angle, he's getting bopped up against the wall. We will see the Gnar rounding out the composition here for CCG.
Okay, so interesting choice from Crimson. I think it fits how they've been playing, which is they do want agency in every single lane. I think I would have liked to see sort of a true tank in the top side when you've already got Akali, Wukong, and Kog'Maw. And most importantly, I agree with what you're saying, Yanni. The fact that between Poppy and Gragas, that front line is probably not going to be in front of Kog'Maw as the fight begins. You've got the explosive cast to knock them away. You've got the Keeper's Verdict to kind of boot them out. So the more bodies you've got in front of Kog'Maw, the better in terms of being able to cycle through these defenders and create space. Gnar might not do that. You can go Mega Gnar and he'll be in front. He will be a threat. But really, with the Mega Gnar, you're often playing offensively, not defensively. You're not there bodyguarding or being that meat shield for your team. You're being in the enemy team and then being a meat shield or a meat spear in terms of causing chaos in the back line and doing a lot of damage yourself. So it fits CCG's sort of operating style. It just feels really weird when now this is 2 games we've seen Shogo be put on sort of a scaling carry, which would like to have a front line, which does usually need a team, without actually having that frontliner team really play for it.
Yeah, and I like that now on AMI side, we see Lojaz on the champion that gets scrap a little bit more early. Remember we talked about Poppy's good early strengths. She's got good base damages. The only issue that I have here is that, sure, Ashe can slow people up, but even if you're linking up with her, it's not a lot of damage. This Azir will not do any damage in the early game that's really meaningful, right? Sure, you'll be able to kind of keep this Akali at arm's length, maybe even the Wukong to a certain extent, but it's not like you're dealing a bunch of damage, right? And that's my big concern. I think this, you know, the Smash Brothers, we'll call them, of this Wukong and this Akali that just really want to be in your face and killing you, are going to have a much easier time of getting damage done, getting kills, than this Poppy Azir comp.
Fair enough. Yeah, it does feel like sort of high risk, high reward style for CCG here, where they do have a lot of damage, and if they execute it right, I agree they'll win up. Especially early on, I don't think there's that many ways for AMI to answer, but as the game goes on, once we start seeing front to back and damage come through, I think AMI's comp will feel a lot more better. And if they can stop the initial engagement with CCG, that's when I think AMI will just be able to kind of grind through these late game fights.
I think you make great points, RMC, and we'll see if the people think that you also make great points. You can vote in the chat, hashtag AMI if you want AMI to win, hashtag CCG if you think they're going to win. RMC, I'm asking you first because honestly, I'm undecided in this game.
You know what? AMI won out the fan vote last time. So if we start seeing CCG win, we know that people in chat, they're here watching the games and deciding on what they're seeing. If it's still heavily AMI favorite, I feel like there's a lot of fans for AMI here. I do like the AMI drop. But Yanni, draft is only half the game, and execution is going to happen right now. CCG. Their executions, man, this is like some medieval Dark Ages guillotine kind of crap execution going on here. It's just death all around, and so I'm favoring CCG a little bit. Also, I love Kog'Maw.
Hey, listen, ain't nothing wrong with that. I think I'm going with CCG for one big reason. I think that what we saw in this first game was that when there's some inaction on AMI, it's very easy for CCG to pull away. And because we're going to see the Ashe who will have, you know, the slows, but doesn't really do a ton of damage early, and the Azir who has the same issue, not a ton of damage early, I think that CCG might just be able to run them over like they did in the last game, right? I think that AMI really needs to slow the game down, play very controlled, very disciplined, right? That first game at the beginning, we did not see a lot of discipline. We saw a lot of over-aggression when you shouldn't. AMI is going to need to snap back into the mode of being very disciplined in order to drag this out to allow their comp time to get strong.
The comp, I think, fits that sort of idea and mentality of being disciplined, of sort of slowing things down and, you know, keeping the ranks, keeping the formation, making sure you've got that front line to allow your Ashe and Azir to bump out damage. The votes look like they have stabilized out, and AMI fans are still strong, Yanni. They've not given up hope in this game 2 of a best of 5.
Well, I'm glad they haven't given up hope because there are still more games to play, and now we are on Summoner's Rift for Game 2 of this best of 5 series. CCG are looking to go up 2-0. AMI looking to have a series on our hands. See.
Yanni, you were talking about how AMI needs to slow the game down, and you talked a little bit about Music, and I want to highlight the junglers right now, because Low Jazz versus Music, Music's been all up in his grill, but this game, Music's on Wukong, and that's not an early game champion. There's some skirmishing going mid lane. Young!
Okay, Young already flashless. That's a huge play there by AMI.
If there was an Ignite on Protoss there, I think that could have been first blood. Really, really close. AMI definitely coming out swinging, and maybe that's because CCG, they don't have the best early game either. And that's something I wanted to highlight. Not only just with Music on the Wukong wanting to hit level 6, in contrast to Poppy, who has such high base damages that she's really looking for scrappy action right from the get-go. But you look at the Akali. Akali wants level 6, and she wants at least a Hextech alternator, preferably a full item. With the Kog'Maw as well, your Voidoo is great for clearing waves, but you need some AP to really get some damage rolling, even with the Leona in your back pocket. We get a replay of what happened level 1.
Young, yeah, just stepped too far up. I mean, you can't really invade into an Ashe, or, you know, obviously it wasn't an invade, but you can't be up that far because the slows on the Frost Shot are really important. A couple of other important things that we want to talk about here. Fadicham going to be key in this game because he has Summoner Spellbook and Shogo has Teleport. That means you're not really playing for the lane. One other thing to note is that Shogo has Comet, which does indicate that he will be going AP this game.
Which is fine. I think AP is the build you build regardless whether you go on hit or whether you go artillery. Because Bioarcane Barrage or his W scales off AP anyways, and you're doing magic damage. So really it's just an idea of whether you're kind of going bursty with the range or whether you're going more consistent damage with the W there. Right from the get-go though, Shoko and Fadi-chan are kind of getting zoned out a little bit.
RMC, I will say, if you're going with the consistent damage of the W, I mean, you're going lethal tempo. So so with the rune choice, this is like the full AP rune choice. This is the Cupic. This is the Insanity. So coming out of the bot lane, and especially not having that second summoner, leads me to believe that that's what we're gonna see.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that's the right read on this, which is also interesting. And you kind of get away with it for Kog'Maw without the on hit, even if you're melting tanks, because your AP kind of gives you % health shred. So during that duration, you can try and shred through the tanks. I'm curious if Decoy actually ends up going tank as well, although they just leave Low Jazz as the sole tank for the team. Because they don't have enough tanks, then Shogo's artillery is going to be very, very efficient because you ignore that front line. You burst that formation apart, and we're just talking about AMI being disciplined. None of that matters when Shogo's Kog'Maw artillery is just hitting the backline anyways.
No doubt he can soften up the front line. He can soften up the people in the back to allow easy kills for Young and Music. It's very interesting to see Shogo play a champion that will have him go full damage, but he won't really be the focal point of actually getting the kills. That's really different, and something that I really love that we've seen this look out of CCG because, you know, typically on Shogo teams, we see him be the big focal point, the guy who is carrying the game, but in the promotion tournament so far, he really has taken a back seat.
Yeah, and even this game, so far, even in the early game, right, we're not seeing anybody kind of help out Shogo right now. Music is just power farming. In fact, Music, pardon me, is looking for Decoy in this top lane. They must know that ward's down there. The way Music is positioning is so clean right now.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I think Decoy's in a little bit of trouble here. He will have the body slam available. Crim's going to get close. He burns the flash. Well played, but Music is going to chase right after him and pick up first blood.
That patience is so good from Music there. And again, the focus for CCG feels like they're now playing for Crimson. And you love to see that, especially, like we said yesterday, Crimson was not the focus. But CCG is giving time the sun to all their players. Now, Shogo is down 16 CS. That is 2.5 waves right now. And Low Jazz might be looking for some action down here.
Yeah, and there's no defensive summoner out of Shogo either, so here comes Low Jazz flashing forward, and they blow up Shogo, but Low Jazz gonna get caught up on the turn a little bit, and the Kog'Maw passive trades it out.
1-for-1, and Shogo has TP, Yanni. So he's just going to get right back to the lane. He did miss a couple of CS, but he was probably not going to get them anyways, and I think CCG, they're going to be A-okay with this.
It's the short recall, too, right? Because his death timer wasn't very long at all. Now we're going to look for... Okay, they got a little bit closer than I really thought that AMI would, but Shogo, you know, probably a little sad of the events that occurred, but it could be much worse.
Pulling the wave back as well, trying to probably set everything up for a second Void Ooze to maximize the damage and the shove there. We get a replay on the first blood, and I love the patience in Music, right? They allowed Crimson to hop in, to throw the brick first. And if you get the slow, then the flash doesn't need to be committed. But the moment kind of the flash came through from Decoy, he created all that space. Music then used his flash to follow up. And it was only 1-for-1 flash being traded. So Crimson still has his flash in a favorable 1v1 matchup. If he gets a 1v1 matchup, because we're seeing the lane swap come through from Baz and Protoss.
Want to let people know this is why stats do lie sometimes, RMC, because Crimson did not get an assist for that because he did not hit Decoy, but certainly earned one. He certainly earned one. Keep that in mind. This guy should be 0-0-1 right now. As you mentioned, that lane swap coming out. Luckily, Crimson half the time is a range champion, so should be all right in this department.
Okay. Low Jazz canceled the back. They're looking for this. Crimson about to go Mega. And again, he has that flash. So if he goes Mega, I think he'd survive.
Music is backing him up, too. Oh, my goodness.
Low Jazz! Why did Low Jazz
so
not go
close.
there?
I mean, maybe that he thought that Crimson had somebody in the back pocket right here. This root's going to come out. They're looking for good damage on the Crimson, and they're going to get it. No idea that Music is here. It's just been a little game of chicken.
And it's really funny too with how both junglers were up there, and while the junglers were up there, nothing could happen because Crimson took so much damage in mini form and couldn't actually stack the last bit of range he needed against the double range. Pardon me. Music kind of sitting up there couldn't do anything. In fact, Music had to cancel his back because I think Protoss or Baz, somebody figured out he was in there and poked him to cancel the recall. So good play from AMI, but same thing from Low Jazz. If Low Jazz got in there, there's a chance they could have gotten a kill onto Crimson, even with the flash. Again, Crimson took a while to really hit that Mega down form, and with that Mega down form, maybe you can cut through. Like Baz and Protoss had a lot of damage there.
Very difficult lane swap for Decoy to be dealing with right now because, yes, while Gragas can neutralize a lot, this has opened the door for Shogo to be able to pick up a lot of farm. He is now equalized with Baz. And over on the top side, Crimson had such a large lead before, and he's able to pick up so much still in this 2v1 that I want to say overall, this is benefiting CCG early on, and that's why they're up about 1,000 gold. We saw some pings on the Dragon. We'll see if after this recall we'll go after it, but with Shogo heading to the top side, it looks like teams might be more interested in the grubs in 30 seconds.
That's an insanely big lane lead, Yanni, just coming through. And I look at sort of the top laners, right? Crimson still was CSing, still had some sort of pressure up there. Decoy, despite not playing to double range, just couldn't do anything and got really zoned out. Shogo was walking up in front of his wave as well, not to mention Farijan. So 22 CS differential between the top laners. As you mentioned, Shogo mostly caught up. And in the mid lane, Young and Retrozing have not had too much pressure in there. Young's got his flash back up, and Young's winning that matchup. Akali's not meant to win pre-level 6. In fact, you're supposed to bully her out while you can, but with a CS advantage, with an experience lead, this Akali could be what blows the game open.
We talked about how Retrozing, this is probably the biggest game of his career so far. Hasn't been in any game the level of this. And the nerves, the jitters could be getting to him. He's down 16 CS again. As you said, the range into melee, typically very good. We're already to see one grub go the way of CCG. The wall's starting to close in on them as Shogo was split off from the rest of the squad. Retrozing able to get there. And now, okay, Shogo was forced to flash away. Fadachan walking up, taking a bit of damage himself. And the other two will go over to AMI.
Okay, well played from AMI. CCG being very, very patient with this one. And kind of similar to what you're saying last game, Yanni, I do think this is kind of a bit of a stall grub take where you're just kind of removing it away from CCG, because CCG is the one who is going to be looking for split pushing with the Gnar, whereas with how the game's gone so far, I'm not sure who's split pushing for AMI. Retrozing is down right now, and Decoy has really been struggling.
Yeah, I don't know. I got to be honest with you, RMC. There's, you know, the only way that you're really going to be able to survive this game is to make it to late game, right? But even then, now you have to contend with that cog walls. This minion looks mighty suspicious, but he'll get the flash and the Pod Blossom off anyway. Music is now coming through. Teleport on the backside here. It's going to be Young coming through. The Acaptian Surprise going to show up and deal pretty big damage as Young is here, but Retrozing shows up. Remember, Music got punted out. Baz is low, and Young is hunting for him. Baz caught in the corner, and he's dead. Feet of Warfare going over to CCG as Music is looking to rejoin the fight. Young is going to go in, looking for Low Jazz, but mashed up against the wall and served up on her platter, but he gets a double kill anyway. And will he survive is the question. Retrozing sliding away, flashing after him, but it's unable to get the kill. No, the spear, the tip of the spear, almost at the back of Young, but he makes a great play to live.
Danny, we said Young could be the one to break this game open. Do we count this as him breaking it open? He broke some kneecaps open, that's for sure. The way he was going back and forth in AMI. The play was good from AMI. That minion was sus AF, but they got the early kill and the punt out onto Music. This was a 3v2 situation. But Young, the way he played in that Shroud and because of the low health, AMI was just so focused on it. Fadijan doesn't get hit whatsoever. He's kind of free going the entire time. And Young, this scared me for a second. I thought he was dead to rights, getting knocked into the wall with the Emperor's Divide, but they didn't get the range. Young was outside turret range. Instead, he actually gets the free kill, and finally Music rejoins the fight. The CC is enough. It's good. And this is why CCG keeps picking champions with agency, because they know they got the best hands in the tournament. They know they cannot play anyone. They just need the tools, the champions, to do so.
That's the difference between a player who's played LCS before and hasn't. And as I say that, we caster curse him. He gets shut down. That doesn't take away from the fact that he played that topside fight beautifully well. The patience to kill Baz and then just tiptoeing on the range of turret. But now, AMI have the man advantage here as Protoss is really putting in work. He's 3-0. He's almost completed a first full AP item. I'm expecting him to do good damage. Dragon could be on the table here, but RetroZing is just getting bullied away.
I just realized when you said that, Yanni, that Protoss has all the kills on his team, 100% kill with this Nico as well. That's going to be really interesting. Protoss did get a really, really nice Pop Blossom earlier, and it's fine that he's getting some early gold because he's Nico and he does a lot of damage as well. But I am a little bit concerned. I'm still looking at RetroZing. That Nash's Tooth needs to come through before he does anything. Baz probably needs an item or two as well as the Ashe to have any sort of real impact in this game. And AMI just feels so far behind the curve. Mid lane, another plate is being taken, and Music's just soloing out this Drake right now.
Remember, we talked about the scaling RMC, and unfortunately, they just keep getting dragged into fights, right? They decided, hey, we saw an angle, this angle is good, but just because the angle's good doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to work out. And sure, that's a fight that is, you know, maybe a 50-50, maybe a 60-40, that you're happy with those odds, but again, it just feels like you're not playing to your win conditions.
Fair enough, and I think CCG are happy with those odds. Heck, CCG probably going to take 30-70s at this point in the game because they just feel so good about themselves. And for AMI, look, I understand the call. Again, the fight looked really good for them, so I don't hate that they went for it. But definitely, I think AMI just needs to reevaluate sort of their risk appetite this game. What can they really get away with?
Well, CCG certainly has a big appetite as Shogo from way downtown is able to pick up that kill.
Yeah, again, 30-70 plays. They'll go for it. Absolutely just pop Protoss. There's a lot of gold there, but there's not a lot of health.
Baz, oh my goodness, he takes so much damage. Baz is forced to flash away, but he's tagged with Ignite. He's gonna fall. Now, they're going after Low Jazz here. Knockup's gonna come through. They're gonna look for a second one here, and they will find it. And it's Shogo, like Curry, raining from downtown, getting his third kill of the game.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this song in Dots before. It does not end well for any team not named CCG. They're getting so aggressive with it. And we're just talking about how Ashe, she doesn't feel very strong right now. What can you do, right? The cleanse is not up. Flash was already used by Baz, but how many CC can you dodge when CCG is just raining down CC left and right? Fadijan, I think, really being the key to that particular play.
Yeah, it's just such a difficult game for them to play, and it's getting harder and harder with each passing minute. It's a 4,000 gold lead for CCG. We're just getting to the 14-minute mark, RMC. Rift Herald is not even up for another minute. When Rift Herald spawns, we're typically like, hey, a team that's ahead is up 2,000 gold. Here they can use it, bust the game open, and make a 4,000 gold lead, but the CCG's already there, man. If they get it, this game is out of reach.
Oh no, Protoss. Thought he saw the angle.
He's slowed. He's in big trouble here. The heal as well. He's forced to use his, and he will escape.
He's kind of lucky Shogo wasn't in the area, because Shogo right now feels like he's the Grim Reaper. You know, the rest of the team's getting all the damage down. They're finding all that CC, but it's when you're running away and you get hit by that living artillery, by that Kog'Maw from the screen, 2 screens away. That's when it feels really bad. Shogo now with that mid lane turret taken down, and Yanni, Herald that you're talking about, it's about to spawn, and normally it blows the game open like you said. This one, it might just nail it shut.
Feats of Strength going over to CCG, so they'll have their boot purchases a little bit later, but they have those upgraded boots on a couple of members right now. Young going back and picking up a Blighting Jewel, so once that extra penetration for this next fight, as Rift Herald is now up. And if you're AMI, I mean, I don't even know what the move is here. I'm going to be honest, this Protoss way too far up. He's taking a lot of damage from... Oh my god, that Cogmaw damage is so much.
Protobelt having to be used defensively always feels so bad, because sure, you get the mobility portion, but you don't get the extra burst of damage. But we've seen, paired with Pop Blossom, can do so much work. Well, Yanni, if you can't make a play on one side of the map, you go to the other side. Objective bounties are available for AMI right now. If you can't make a play on Herald, then you overload bot lane instead. That turret is standing juicy. Protoss is in the area, but they're going to know that's a clone just standing on that control board there.
Herald going down as the lead continues to go in the way of CCG. And now we're going to see 2 in the mid lane, 2 to the top lane. Objective bounty will be split amongst the Poppy and the Azir, but Decoy is in a lot of trouble. He's knocked up once again, and Crimson and Music go back and pick on him later.
Decoy is dead, and Herald going to be charging in, taking 2 turrets to boot as well. We've got Protoss and RetroZing trying to come up here to cover, but Shogo's already hit, taking half the health already, and Crimson's just taking a little bit extra on top.
Oh, wait, Shogo, he got caught. Shogo got caught. There we go. It's a big upstairs. We're going to just look at each other a little funny as Baz is going to take a lot of damage. But there we go. There's a pick. It's 1 to Baz.
All this is happening, though, it's worth noting, Young is just split pushing the bot lane. And he's going to potentially find another turret. Never mind. There's actually being TP from Decoy to answer Young right now. Young, Protobelt, and the Blighting Jewel completed already. So he is a massive threat to Squishies. And Decoy, remember we asked if he was going to go tank this game. It looks like he split the difference. He's gone with the Rod of Ages. I don't know if that's actually a Serap's Embrace or Thimble Winter that tier will turn into. But I suspect probably Serap's Embrace for the extra bit of AP, which makes him squishy enough that Young could kill him.
I'm with you on that, and it's just so tough, right? Because it seems like a lot of players are really trending toward that Gragas build when we see Gragas gets picked. And, you know, sure, I like the extra damage, but at the same time, in this particular comp, we talked about it. You need that extra survivability. The fact that you don't have it, and with all this damage, the double Trinity forces on CCG, the Shogo's on 2 items. I mean, not having that tankiness is going to cost you later on.
And every single champion on CCG is burst oriented. Even Leona, with the Shield of Daybreak and the Sunlight passives that she gives, is kind of burst oriented as well. So yeah, not having a tank bites double. Low Jazz also with the Sunder Sky.
Oh.
And look, that's what we're talking about. Like, the burst is so incredibly fast, and Baz just instantly melted. Low Jazz here melted too.
Yep, Low Jazz will be able to knock out not just the clone, but also the real one as well.
That's another big ult down. And I feel like every time I'm watching this,
Low Jazz says, give me that buff, I want back in, but he's just dead. Oh man, that is just the over-aggressiveness. Once again, he said, I can reclaim my jungle. No, you cannot. Turret goes down on the bottom side too, as AMI is completely falling apart, RMC.
Yeah, and Lojaz wanting to go back in. Young's like, well, welcome to my web. Said the spider to the fly. More than happy to pick that one up. And Lojaz flash too. He doesn't have Ice Flash, so that's down. The Keeper's Verdict is down. And we keep seeing critical spells, summoners, items from AMI being used defensively. I don't want to see that. You're trying to get back into the game. Even if you die, hold on to it. Wait for the big play that you can make for your team. As it stands, you're 6,000 gold down pre-20 minutes. Drake, second Drake on right up, going the way of CCG, and things are looking dire for Apex Mission Impossible.
Yeah, it's so bad. Even though you do have the Azir scaling, and we know that Ashe later on can be a monster. Just the fact that you don't have any of these dragons, that CCG are stacking these dragons, albeit very slowly, means that even if AMI are able to equalize this game somehow, CCG still has that advantage. As once again, a very suspicious minion. RMC, can you tell the difference when Nico is a minion, having you yourself be a minion?
Yeah, it moves like me. It's trying to get off the rift.
You're like, you see the Nico and you look at her funny. It's kind of like Ditto in Pokemon. Whenever Ditto, copies a Pokemon in the anime, it's got the little the Ditto eyes still.
Yep. Yeah, and watching the minion kind of path around like weirdly is like those Ditto eyes. Crimson and Decoy. Look, here's the thing. CCG right now, they're just waiting for objectives to try and push this game as fast as they can. They can also just group up and brute force, to be honest. Top side's a little bit low, and AMI don't have great answers. I'm still waiting for AMI to kind of show signs of life in this game. Maybe they're waiting for the 2 items power spikes. They can ironically do it because the game has been so accelerated. It doesn't hurt them to wait a little bit longer. The only thing is Atakan that they have to worry about.
Yep, and that Otacon has spawned up on the top side. There's a lot of fighting up there earliest. We're going to see a bit of a fracas in the mid lane here. Shogo once again in trouble. He will go down. And Lojaz will punt out music, so it's another pick on the AD carry of CCG.
That's what you like to see, and they were worried about the Otacon. They set up a trap, and they're able to pick it out. Yanni, I wish we could get damage numbers, because I suspect Shogo's damage numbers are pretty high. He's really been maximizing the Cogmall kit. Well, I think he's been using the Cogmall kit really, really well. Multiple times, he's getting multiple members with this passive.
What do you mean by that? Yeah, that's what I thought. That's the full utilization.
Yeah.
Crimson is now in a bit of a scenario where it's hard for him to hop away. He will be able to get all the way out, maybe looking for a turn because he's got Mega coming up, and Young is coming down, looking for kills. He's going to find Lojaz. Decoy didn't get hit with the shuriken flip, but he's going to die all the same. It's a double kill for the mid laner of CCG.
And this is why I said CCG could just brute force if they want. They've got a great siege machine in this AP Kog'Maw who's on 2 items. If Shogo just wants to show up and pepper them with shots, and meanwhile, anybody gets low, and Young just does that. Crimson has TP'd right back to the top side to get pressure. That's a bit of an interesting choice. He should be able to get that turret, most likely. And I'm just wondering if CCG have actually moved him up there to just go for Otacon instead.
They're going to target out Baz here. He only got slowed, but it's so hard for him to escape. They'll turn it though, and they'll get the kill on the Fadichan as Retrozing looking for Shogo, won't be able to find him with the flash away.
And with that Rylance, I really thought Retrozing would have had enough positioning to get that one. And that comes at the expense of nobody answering Crimson in that top side. So that turret we're talking about does go down. Yanni, I feel like we saw this yesterday from CCG, where their early game goes disgustingly well. And then they start to make, you know, some sloppy movements here or there. We're starting to see individuals getting picked out. Shogo, Fadichan, Shogo again. Like,
Fadichan has died one time. Let's give
but
him
he
a little
dove
bit
a
of
turret to
grace.
do it.
Listen, he had a third member there. He thought that was diveable. I thought that was diveable too. But his third member decided on bailing out.
True. I think that was diveable, but that's a bit of a one-way trip. Like, you weren't coming out the other end. And unfortunately, the team wasn't able to find enough kills to justify it. Fadichan.
Okay, hang on. All right, never mind. The blast cone, we'll save him. Wait a minute. There? Decoy's there too. Okay, now we can give Fadichan less grace. He's forced to flash away.
But he lives. I think that's the important part. They're buying so much time for Young and Crimson, like we talked about, these split pushers to come in for CCG. And with the teleport available from Young right now, he's comfortable in his ball lane. Somebody needs to launch from AMI.
Fadichan goes in, but now they're going to try to turn it around with music. Pitstone's coming out, and there's the Cyclone. It's knocking up multiple members. Oh, he got knocked away. What a play by Crimson to keep Protoss out of the fight. And down you go, multiple members of AMI. Young, still alive, gets the heal on the McHales to stay upright.
That was so close to being equal trades. It could have been, you know, a 3 for 3. Crimson was pretty low as well. Fadichan though likes his odds right now with Shogo finally arriving. And again, CCG can't go for Otacon after all that plays. They're just kind of going for these turrets again.
Yeah, you know, with your jungler down, it's always a bit of a risk, but more gold spilling over to their pockets. Take a look at the replay again and watch out for Crimson in just a moment or two.
And it's really unfortunate that Shogo kind of wanted to get into this fight, but he just gets yeeted out by the Keeper's Verdict. Because we said it before, he's sort of the cleanup crew. You can't run very effectively from Kog'Maw, and the Void Ooze really helps a lot to just lock everybody down for you to be able to kind of finish things off, make sure they can't get away. So solid Keeper's Verdict choice from Lojaz to kind of yeet Shogo out of there. Protoss though, okay, he's fine. Great down guards.
Yep, he's still alive for right now, but the rest of his team might be on life support as we're teetering toward the edge of an 8,000 gold lead RMC. We have Crimson soloing the dragon downstairs. Baron is up in 50 seconds. This Otacon is still on the map, and I like that CCG haven't really been tempted by it yet. Crimson does have Meganar right now, is taking a bit of a chunk of HP, as now they're going to look toward music. He's going to be able to hop away with this clone, and now he will be the one to turn onto the dragon. AMI have CCG split up, but don't have a way to actually start a good fight.
I don't think they have any fight's a good fight for AMI to start right now, unless you're 5v1. Like, even in a 5v2 situation, I feel like Fadichan could potentially buy enough time for the rest of the team collapse. So that's why we're not seeing AMI kind of pick a side to commit to, because first of all, they're too close. Even if you do choose the 5v2 option, the cleanup crew is right behind you. And in a 5v3 option, I don't know if they win that.
I mean, I think you're right. I think it's so tough for them to try to win any fight. I think at this point you're waiting for as many items as you can get. You can hopefully sneak away a dragon and then another one and then another one. And then you're fighting for like 6 item spikes, right? And saying, hey, everybody's on 6 items. The gold doesn't matter. We're just going to fist fight at the end of the game. And I got to be honest, RMC, I don't think that's coming anytime soon.
Nope, though AMI is certainly trying their best. And huge props to AMI as well. We talked about how CCG has been a little bit loosey-goosey with how they're making these plays. They're kind of going for the 2080s now. And even with the goal lead, those don't always clean up. They still haven't taken Otacon. Baron is now an option on the table, and it doesn't look like they're setting up too much for it right now. AMI are kind of okay with this game state, and we've actually seen the scaling start to come through from them. The last couple of fights, you're seeing a little bit more hope. They're not getting completely overwhelmed. They are getting multiple members of CCG low. So for AMI, if it does go that 6 items, Yanni, that you're talking about, AMI's actually got pretty decent odds. It's just like you said, it's not happening anytime soon. CCG, why are we baiting instead of just doing objectives?
I like it because remember what we said about the last game, about Otacon as a whole, RMC. It is one of the few objectives, as well as Baron, where you can have a game completely in the palm of your hand and throw it away by getting aced and giving up Otacon. And if you get aced at Otacon now up at the top side, that means you could lose Baron too. Now the good news is CCG has done their homework, they have their wards, they see nobody on AMI is nearby, only the Hawk Shot will spot them out far too late.
And they also do see Baz, Jazz, and Decoy on that wave into the mid lane. TP being used by Fadijan here.
I think they want this fight, RMC, but with Fadijan getting slowed up, it's a little bit hard to get close. Crimson wasn't able to get to the side because of the Emperor's Divide by RetroSync.
And with the Emperor's Divide down, maybe this is enough confidence for them to start looking for Baron as well. I mean, you've already got the Otacon. You've got so many buffs to your name, so many advantages. Sundisk being used in the mid lane to secure AMI a route towards that top side of the map.
Well, they're pinging it. They're heading toward it, and it looks like they've started it up. Here we go. They're going to shotgun Baron here, but they're up so much, I don't think it's going to matter. Fadichan and Young waiting. Crimson building up the Narbar. Those rage stacks. As Decoy looks to lead the charge. Fadichan is going to go in first. Here comes Crimson. He's going mega, but punted out of the fight. Here we go. It's an odd man fight. Protoss getting in. 2-man Pop Blossom. Young in stealth on the backside, doing a lot of damage. Fadichan following the backside as well as he's keeping everybody away. Protoss caught off from the rest of the team as Crimson gets it done. He finds a kill. Baz finds him, but it doesn't matter because Shogo is still raining death from downtown. That is an ace for CCG. They will push down the mid lane and look to end the game.
And that's all they needed to do, Yanni. This is why we kept saying they are strong enough to brute force this. At this point, even ProDiv coaching wouldn't be able to help you. Crimson and Music, we keep talking about these guys are coaches on ProDivs, and in that fight, funnily enough, they were kind of the guys yeeted off that fight, you know, and still came back, still had a massive impact on this.
Yep, shout out ProDiff, because if you want to learn like Crimson and Music to be this far ahead in games like this, you can use them and they will be able to help you out. You can take the opportunity to learn from them or other NACL pros. No matter your current rank, you can fast track your road to improvement by scheduling a one-on-one coaching session at prodiff.gg. Because every coach there is an active or recent NACL or LTL player, you will be confident that they have the knowledge to help you climb faster. And right now, CCG are looking to climb their way out of the promotion tournament, up 1-0, staring up 2-0 in this best of 5 in the face. It's a good place to be if you're CCG.
That's really unfortunate, Yanni. ProDiv sponsoring these teams, right? And you're talking about, you know, NACL players, LTA North players, you know, being part of ProDiv. For whichever teams qualify up to NACL, that's a chance for them, for ProDiv to be their sponsors too, and put their coaching up there and make some money with them as well. So AMI is not only playing for a spot in the NACL, they're playing for potential sponsorship from ProDiv. But it doesn't look like it's going to happen this game. CCG wants to retain theirs.
It certainly looks like a ProDiff to me right now. They are diffing AMI pretty hard. Young's not even on there, I believe, and right now 7-1-7, he is putting on a show. Speaking of show, Shogo 6-4-8. He's died a lot, but he's been around for a lot of kills. 14 out of 21, 66% kill participation as the siege is on the bottom. Inner turret or inhibitor turret will fall, as well as the inhibitor. Now we're on to the Nexus turrets. Crimson is in mega form. Maybe he looks to make the play. It's starting to run out. They go all in on Mojaz and he falls. Crimson will be able to hop out. He'll still be alive. So now it's a 5v4 for a short time.
And Decoy finally comes back, doesn't actually find the inner turret top side, and I'm afraid I don't know if the minions will be able to take it. It does, it's gold, but doesn't matter, Decoy gets rooted.
Yeah, they're running out of room. This game might just be over. We're going to see Emperor's Divide come out, but it's not going to do a damn thing to save AMI's hopes here in Game 2. CCG, once again, running over the competition, and they lead the series 2-0.
Yanni, the picks they're using, the comps they're using to do this, they're not super meta compositions, they're not, you know, comps that have a ton of innate synergy. They just need agency, and there's so many, the list of champions with agency goes on, and unfortunately for AMI, they're not likely at the rate they're going to push them to Game 5. That means in Game 3, there's only 10, how many? So 20 champions lost to full Fearless, plus another 10 banned. So 30 champions removed. CCG still has plenty of options.
Yeah, and if I'm AMI, I don't know about you, RMC, but we gotta have a comp that allows everybody on the team to be able to fight early. It didn't work in the first game when you had Vi in the jungle. It didn't work in the second game when you got a Zero in the mid lane. Listen, it looks like this team just wants to scrap today, so you know what? Let them go. Let them fight. Let them hand check CCG. I don't know if they're going to be able to win the hand check, but it feels like that is their only option, RMC.
Yeah, well, I'm with you. We'll have to see what they come up with. Again, we have a short break before we go into Game 3, and we'll see if AMI can use that break to figure out something that works.
Hoarder is looking for a triple kill on the back of all of it. My goodness, man. Supernova wiped the floor with Citadel.
Hey everyone, I'm Armeo, and I'm here to break down the critical mid-game dragon fight from Supernova vs Citadel Gaming from Day 3 of the NACL playoffs in this ProDiff deep dive. Both teams are positioning around Dragon in a close game. Citadel is grouped as 5, while Supernova is missing Hoarder's Gwen. Seeing Dardoch's Pantheon split from his team and having a numbers advantage, Diamond's Braum tags him with Winner's Bite. Dardoch is able to mitigate the incoming damage, but is forced to flash to avoid being stunned afterwards. As Diamond is chasing Dardoch, a Blaze Ov's Talia hits him with a full combo, forcing out a shield and chunking his health. This trade leaves Citadel vulnerable during the window where Diamond's Unbreakable is on cooldown. Despite this, Kenvy's Jarvan thinks he sees a good angle to engage directly onto Scary Jerry's Corki as Supernova begins to split off, but he misjudges the size of the hitbox of Talia's Unraveled Earth. Corki is able to Valkyrie over the wall to escape, and what Kenvy thought was a low-risk play is immediately punished. Supernova immediately turns onto Kenvy with a Blaze Off and Scary Jerry taking him dangerously low, as Breezy's Alistar lands the Headbutt Pulverize. Diamond burns Heal and Locket, while Kenvy is forced to flash over the wall to survive. Without flash and at low health, Kenvy will be limited to only one rotation of abilities in the next fight. Citadel still has a numbers advantage, since Hoarder will take several more seconds to be able to arrive at the fight, and Supernova is split in two while Citadel is fully grouped. However, Kenvy is critically low health without his engage tools, and Diamond still doesn't have his Unbreakable ready from his earlier play on Dardoch. Additionally, Scary Jerry and Breezy both have all of their summoners and Alistar's ultimate available, making them very difficult to quickly burst down in this position. Finally, Supernova has their key engage tools available in Talia's Weaver's Wall and Pantheon's Grand Starfall that will ensure that they can force the fight even if Citadel tries to leave. This resource imbalance puts Supernova in a winning position even though their top laner is late to the fight. Knowing that the situation will be hopeless if Citadel tries to disengage at this point, Bradley flashes in and lands Tibbers on the Supernova ball lane. Phillips' Rumble lands the equalizer, but no one else in Citadel is able to follow up. Supernova immediately uses their ultimates in response. Ablazov knows that Citadel has almost no CC left and uses the Weaver's Wall to flank as Dardoch channels his ult into the middle of Citadel. Citadel tries to quickly burst down Ablazov, but his Talia combo slows their advance and knocks Kenvy out of his EQ combo to ensure he can't escape before he uses Zhonya's to prevent Citadel from trading any damage back onto him. Dardoch's Grand Starfall arrives and takes out Kenvy before chunking out Instinct's Yunara, forcing both of his summoners. Hoarder's Gwen has now arrived at the fight, and Citadel has no hope as Supernova can freely wipe them off the map. Citadel thought they had an opportunity to take a 5v4 teamfight and get themselves back into the game. Instead, they end up overcommitting to a disjointed fight, and Supernova takes a clean ace, the dragon, and an eventual Game 1 victory. Thanks for watching. You can check out one-on-one coaching from NACL pros at prodiff.gg. To stay up to date on everything NACL, follow @WatchNACL on Twitter and make sure to catch the games on NACL's Twitch or YouTube. We'll see you next time.
back, everybody, to the 2026 Split 1 Promotion Tournament for the NACL. This is the first of 2 qualification matches, and CCG are up 2-0. The mission might not be impossible, but RMC, it is damn hard.
I mean, their backs are up against the wall. If they lose one more game, it is done. So it's pretty much the apex of missions right now. Call it Apex Mission Impossible, Yanni. And here for CCG, they're firing on all cylinders right now. Like, Crimson is having a pop-off series. He's
So
just
good.
crushing. Yeah, and Young as well. They're giving Young a lot of champions where he can absolutely pop up. And with Music being the enabler that he is for this mid lane, it's the synergy on this top side is just going nuts. And somebody's got to pay the price. Yesterday it was Crimson for it. Today it's a little bit Shogo. Shogo's getting put on a lot of champions again, like we said. Should need a team to help him out. And I say should, because even when there's not a team around him, Shogo is still getting work done.
Yeah, this game, he definitely got his, and, you know, if you're him, you're probably feeling a little good about that. Every AD carry has a modicum of ego, right? You know, as an AD carry player myself, you know, everybody's got ego, right? And, you know, sometimes you want to make sure you at least get yours, make sure everything's all good. But hey, wins are wins. You'll take the dubs wherever you can get them, and CCG are finding them everywhere right now, up 2-0. They got to say, again, for AMI, I subscribe to the theory that they should go early aggression and just try to hand check CCG. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I mean, so far we've seen, mechanically speaking, AMI has been trying to play the way that's found them success so far, which is much more structured team fighting. But it hasn't worked because we're not getting to the team fight stage. It's been CCG blowing the game open every single time pre-50 minutes. Like, sure, the Azir Ashe composition of the Poppy honestly looks gorgeous, it looks beautiful. I like the composition. But if you're not able to get to the team fight stage where the comp actually works, then that's an issue. So fix the first problem, which is the early game. Getting to that point, I agree. Pick earlier game champions, which can still team fight. There are options. Unfortunately, the Rumble has been used up. So has the likes of the Nico. But, you know, you can still go like, honestly, like Khan maybe, but not the best example. Like, go Lucian Braum, for example, on the bot lane. That's something that can still have impact in the earlier skirmishes and team fights.
Hear me out. Let's get devious. I want to see Protoss Elise. You know why? Because, listen, he's played it a lot. It seems like he's really good at it. You're down 0-2 in the series. We want to see early aggression. That champion gives you early aggression, right? And, you know, if you lose, it's like, all right, well, we got 3-0'd. We have another series to go, and maybe you can find out if you have to put the Elise on the shelf. But if you do really well, even if you lose the series, then whatever team you're going up against has to know, like, hey, the spider can jump scare us. There's a spider in the house, and it must be eliminated.
Fair enough, but in this series, full clears will only happen once. In AMI, for this critical game 3, they have opted for blue side, Yanni, as we saw, and I don't know if Elise is necessarily a blue side pick, because there's so many other higher prio champions, and Elise is such a niche pick that I'd almost want to see it, you know, on the red side of it, like R4 or something, you know?
Hey, who knows? You might see it late into the draft. What we're seeing, though, is some of the standard bans that are keeping it the same here. I mean, they're going with the Galio, which, you know, again, we didn't see it at all in the first set of bans in Game 1. But Game 2, they went to it. Game 3, they're going back to it again. They have this idea that either Crimson or Young are going to pull it out, maybe even Fadichan. So they don't want to have to deal with that again. It's the globals that they feel have been giving AMI issues.
I almost feel like RetroZing should just pick it himself as something that can enable the early game. We talked about something that can do things early, and Galio is pretty strong early on. He enables skirmishes cross map. It feels like a good pick. Instead, it's going to be the Syndra once again removed. Now, a bit of a change up for the side of CCG. Now that they've let the Azir through, they can afford to just focus down the Orianna. I think the idea is if you open Azir, you get one, maybe we get the other side, but the Akali was just too tasty for them in draft, and I fully agree considering how hard Young popped.
Yeah, now we're seeing some young champions getting taken off the board. You know, again, we mentioned the Akali's not there, so I want to see what he's going to pull out next, because now we're starting to talk like Irelia. We're starting to talk Yone, perhaps, right? And maybe Music has to play the game of Sejuani, right? Sometimes, as a jungler, you got to do your duty, and you got to go pick Sejuani. Maybe this is the game for it. We'll see if CCG want to get a little fancy, a little fun here in Game 3 or through the bans, and Corki gonna get locked in here for AMI.
Okay, Corki can do some early trading. That's fine, that's fair. I don't hate it. I do kind of dislike the fact that they took out the Lucian, because I felt like that was something that could do a lot of work for them. Now, CCG, with the Yone open, that is definitely a champion that can do a lot of work. And you're talking about Yasuo being a three-way flex. Yone, okay, I can't remember if Shogo did it once this year, but definitely Crimson and Young can both play that Yone. So that would be a great pickup here to flex, and it punishes short ranges. But Yanni, for now, they're going with your recommendation. It is going to be Sejuani for music. Not as good at invading solo, but a fantastic enabler. And it also enables a lot of aggression in the solo lanes, melee, physical damage dealers.
Put the Sejuani in the bag, bro. Now let's see what we're going to get with it, right? This opens the door for Yasuo, for Yone, for Aurelia. That's a Young special. The Yasuo and the Yone, as you just mentioned, can be triple flexes. So we'll see which one gets through here. It's going to instead be an early Aphelios pickup here. That'll go over to Shogo. And you know what? Shogo said, listen, I want to play a standard AD carry this game, all right?
And he's actually got a front line for it. He's not going to have to
It's an
play
AD carry stream.
True! Shogo doesn't care about it though. Shogo just does his own thing anyways. But I have seen him play the Aphelios before. He's very good at cycling through the guns and getting what he needs. Into the Corki, it's kind of fun too, because if you get the right set of guns against Corki, either you just outrange with Calibrum right from the get-go, and then Corki can't trade with you, or when you get the red-white, the Cerebrum, the Cerebrum and Chakrams, or the Crescendum, you kind of get you get to get in range and just punish Corki, who normally wants to play into you. Ziggs for AMI, very, very different idea from the Corki. I guess you've got the Corki bombs, the missiles, pardon me, plus the Ziggs bombs for a lot of range. I don't know how effective they'll be into the Sedge, so I feel like you need something to get that backline set up to land the Mega Inferno bomb on things like the Aphelios.
Yeah, and I'm very interested to see where this Ziggs is going to go, because the Corki is a Retro Zing Baz flex, but we really haven't seen the Ziggs from either of these guys. We are going to see a Sion lock-in and immediate Gwen response coming through for Crimson. If Crimson wants to secure an MVP for this series, this is the game to do it.
Yep, that's the champion. Gwen, in recent patches, did get nerfed. Her early game got a lot weaker, but the skilling is better. So, in a way, yeah, it's nice for Crimson, and Crimson's been crushing the 1v1 matchup as well. So, I do think this is a pretty good lane now. For CCG, they are still looking for a support and a mid lane. They do have counter pick, but if you want something like a Yone, you might want to, well, actually, you can afford to wait for the Yone now, because yeah, all the potential positions for AMI have already taken. I am sad, Yanni, they banned the Yone. We don't even get to see that for Youngs yet.
Lame, they knew. I mean, it's such a red flag, right? When a team locks in Sejuani, it's like, all right, definitely on Yone watch, and then they lock in a different top laner, and then you're like, we're really on Yone watch here. Again, this does mean that the Yasuo could be available, but I imagine that's not going to be a pickup coming in through for Young. I still would really like to see him pull out his Aurelia, just because, again, it's a Young champion, right? I want to see him kind of not only flex on these meta mid laners, but also these mid laners that are not as often picked.
You see the support pool being targeted a little bit. Braum is available, Rakan is available, but I think Thresh might be a champion that I would be surprised to see. He did go for the Yasuo, Yanni. There's no setup for it. You get a mini knock-up with Sejuani. True. Yeah, there's Rakan and there's Thresh. Both of them have great knock-up. Well, Braum actually even has great knock-up. What am I saying? The Glacial Fissure knocks multiple members up.
Let's see. Do we have any other good ones? Alistar's still on the board, right? Alistar's still available.
It was banned, yeah, so it hasn't been played yet. Okay.
Yeah, okay, we could have that. Let's see, what else? Even Nautilus is on the board as well, I believe. So we'll see what CCG wants to do, as we do see a Skarner lock-in. I think this is a great answer to what CCG is trying to do.
Yeah, more tank is nice, but Yanni, I'm a little bit concerned when I'm already seeing an Aphelios and I'm seeing a Gwen. Your tanks are going to get melted by them. And even worse, Yasuo doesn't care about your tanks. As long as they get backline access, as long as somebody knocks up the backline, Yasuo's going to zip right past them anyway. So the Rakan denied, I think that's the easiest access to the backline in terms of trying to set up that last breath to come through. Very curious where CCG goes with this one. Who else? We talked about it, I mean, honestly,
that would be crazy if you locked in Malphite support. Hell no. All right, we're going to go for Aurel here. This makes a lot more sense. I mean, dude, if I saw a Malphite support, I would be jumping for joy right now, but listen, we don't live in that world. I don't know if that world only exists in fun flex queue with friends. And let me tell you, the NACL promotion tournament, even if you're up 2-0, probably not the spot for that. Now, these team comps are set, RMC. I have to say, I like what AMI has put together with their Scion, with their Skarner, with their Corki, even with the Rakan. The Ziggs feels a little bit out of place for me.
Yeah, and we talked about trying to set up for the Mega Inferno Bomb on the back line. There, you can kind of lob it over the hidden tanks, maybe lob it into all these aggressive champions running into you. But I am very worried for Baz with the Ziggs right now. There's a lot of threat which can just go diving that back line, and which can kind of ignore the tanky front line, and Ziggs isn't the safest of these champions. In lane as well, up against the Aphelios, it is the better matchup, and I actually do like the fact that they picked the Ziggs to outrange the Aphelios, because Aphelios' biggest weakness is just range. If you can outrange him, you can punish him. That's why Jinx was a counter back in the day. We saw the Ezreal matchup being one that a lot of people used to play against Aphelios in the past as well. But this isn't any Aphelios. This is Shogo's Aphelios. And we've seen Shogo be very good at dodging skill shots. And I don't know if Baz can win that out early. I don't know if RetroZing can necessarily win out early against this Yasuo. And I'm not expecting Decoy to win out early against Crimson. So we've been hopping on the early game. I'm still not seeing that early game, Yanni. I'm seeing late game skilling team fight. It's their identity, but it hasn't worked.
Yeah, you're right, RMC. And this game especially, I think it's going to be hard, right? The Corgi does give you that early damage, yes, but you're not seeing any more of that early damage elsewhere, as you pointed out, right? Your top side just doesn't have it. You know, maybe the Ziggs, the Ziggs bombs, the bouncing bombs, the Q are going to come through and maybe help you out there. But again, it's a champion that we expect later on to be the one to really dish out the damage. And you know, for CCG, they are just ready to fight at a moment's notice. Fight. Their lanes look like they're going to be good spots. Shogo are going to be able to farm. Crimson going to have that advantage. The big question mark is mid, as you mentioned. So I don't know about you, but just based on what I see, the Smash Mouth compositions, I favor CCG a lot.
Fair enough. And I think from what we've seen of the drops so far, I've largely favored AMI drops as much as I favored CCG hands. This time I actually kind of favor CCG off a little bit. Like I said, I think they've got great ways to chew through that front line. They've got access to the back line, and they've got skill in Yanni. This game, they've got skill in off the bus.
Well, you favor it, and I favor it. So now we want to hear what you have to say, Twitch chat. Use the hashtag AMI if you think AMI is going to take it, or the hashtag CCG if you think CCG is going to sweep their way back into the NACL. I'm not even, you know, I could go and vote in the chat if I really wanted to right now, but I'm not going to do so, and it doesn't look like I really need to.
100% CCG. Okay, there we go. AMI
we got one.
Time to type. And you know what? AMI's been winning the fan vote up to this point. They've usually been about 2-1 in terms of the fan vote, but it looks like CCG is coming out in force right now. And I think a lot of the fence sitters, you know, the silent majority is starting to weigh in here. They've been seeing the way CCG plays, and they're liking how it looks.
Can hop off the fence and over to the CCG side. And you know, for AMI, I think we need to set some interesting expectations for this particular game, RMC. Obviously, it's not like they're doomed yet. It's not like it's over. We still have to play the games. But what I want to see is AMI play a cohesive game plan where they are matching the identity of their team composition, because regardless of win or lose, this is a issue that they have run into with CCG and they could run into later. If you lose this series, you get a second shot. But if you play like this again and you're just not playing to the strengths of your comp, it's going to be really, really hard to win on the lower side.
And for AMI, they've had so much momentum being built up as well. The way they just crushed their way through the open qualifiers, they dropped like, what, one game or something like that? And then, you know, they roll here and they just 4-0'd yesterday as well. And then suddenly they just run smack into CCG. I fear that this might break their momentum a little bit. I'm curious if they're able to recover. And this game is a question on whether or not they can recover mentals when they've been losing a little bit. And tell you what, I'm not a follower of the Church of Lojaz, but their prime apostle, Pope Shibi, has been definitely preaching a lot of Lojaz in the past. I feel like this is the game for him to step up, because on that Skarner, he can get some early action going. He needs to get some early action going.
Pope Shibi might be crying really hard right now, as well as the followers of the Church of Lojaz, but even when you have a dark day, there will be brighter days ahead. Summoner's Rift, Game 3 of this best of 5 series. CCG looking to clean this one up early, while AMI are just looking to survive in this series.
Well, all thriving starts with just surviving. You know, when things are, you got to take the baby steps to start getting where you need to go. For now, no invades, no scrapping. We did see some scraps at level 1 yesterday and today as well, but I think both teams know that they kind of need a little bit of time to to get their comps online. Lojaz, very aggressive posturing though. I don't know if he can actually invade this, but I think he wants to give Music a little bit of what he's been getting, you know?
It's going to be very hard, especially with this matchup. It's not like these guys are really pumping damage numbers early on, RMC.
Retro Zing, probably the most damage numbers early, I think, just based on, you know, if you're able to land the full Gatling cannon level 2 with the Foster's Bomb. Maybe, and into the Yasuo, there is a world in which Retro Zing just punishes the Yasuo really, really hard. Wind Wall is a very, very long cooldown. And then maybe Retro Zing and Lojaz could look for some action. Yasuo is notoriously weak early. Heck, I'd argue he's even weaker than Yone.
Laning phase has started here, and to look a little bit ahead, RMC. It feels like now, this is the game of all games to say the grubs are supremely important. You cannot give these away to CCG because you'll just have a Yone split push on you all day long. You're going to have the Gwen that's going to have to deal with a Scion. Yeah, okay, buddy, you'll be good luck with that one. If you're AMI, you need to make sure that your rotations are clean. You're setting your bot lane up to the top side eventually to make sure that you can get these grubs. You cannot let CCG have any of them, really.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that AMI managed to die at last game. All three. It didn't matter. CCG doesn't need grubs. It's just a really nice sort of multiplier for them to be able to speed things up and, you know, really, really get going. So I guess in that case, you're kind of right that you need to deny it 100%. But at the same time, I don't know if that really makes a difference. What I need to see from AMI more than just denying objectives is I need to see them get kills. And this is a good start. RetroSing getting a ton of damage.
Oh, Young just hit level 3 in the middle of that wave. Oh, RetroSing having to deal with that wind wall. That was a really well-placed wind wall from Young.
And Young winning that trade. But I just don't trust the kill threat right now from the Yasuo at that level 1. And Duran's shield as well. Just trying to survive the lane, but doesn't have a lot of damage to go. Decoy trading with Crimson, though. And seemingly fine for now. Bot side, Parijan.
Little sidestep. Uh-oh, Young is the one who's being targeted out here. That wind wall came in a little late. But Lojaz will not look for anything more yet. Maybe he's going to try to go through the wall here. Looks like Young is fine.
I don't know why. I just when watching that, I was thinking, how much force would you need to generate with wind to stop a boulder of that size getting through?
I mean, I'm not the Avatar, bro. I don't know.
It's like Gale Force level winds, man, to try and
Gale
stop
Force?
that from hitting.
Bring back Gale Force! Sorry, I heard it and I had to do it. Young, in a little bit of trouble. He will be able to live as RetroZing, wisely holding that flash. Lojaz showing up to make sure that Music doesn't do anything to this Corki here, but Music says, hey, I want in. I'm level 4. Can bully you guys around.
And I actually really like this from Lojaz. We're saying that Lojaz needs to have early impact. Considering that RetroZing is sort of the winning lane, they are trying to get pressure down onto Young, who needs to step up in order to normally CS. Unfortunately, the timing wasn't ideal and Young was under turret. But the fact that Music's willing to step up in 1v2...
Uh-oh! Wait, Young got knocked up here by Protoss. Protoss is looking to kill him.
Oh.
He's not going to be able to. RetroZing does TP in, but it's just a little late.
Again, I like this. They just keep sending more resources.
Okay, Decoy going to be targeted out here. Who's tanking it up right now? It's Music, and that means it's an easy first blood. Once again, the topside duo picking on Decoy.
And this is where I guess there's the ideal, and then there's the reality. The ganks from AMI fit the ideal. You're trying to shut down this Yasuo. You're getting in there with the jungle, with the support. It looks beautiful. But the reality is you didn't kill him. And then you look at CCG. 1 gank, 1 kill. That's efficiency right there. And I feel like that's defined CCG's run through this tournament. They are just efficient. They are better, and they are pulling off the moves that get them results.
Decoy going to take quite a bit of damage here from Shogo and Fadi-chan. Takes him to about half HP. I mean, credit to Decoy. He is real thick right now. I mean, it took a lot to even get him that low.
But it did kind of work, and if Decoy steps up around halfway through the lane with Gravitum, yeah, Shogo can definitely run him down. And knowing that, Music is just going to start up the Dragon because they've got the numbers advantage. And this is a role swap that's being started up by the side of AMI. Yeah, look at how beautiful it is, right? Music just tags him up, knows exactly how much he can take, and just buys that space for Crimson. Just kind of walks it out, tanking, so there's no risk of him going down. And he's got enough space that even the zombie sign will never catch him.
First Dragon going to head over to CCG here as they kept their bottom lane downstairs for a while. I like the swap from AMI, just trying to do whatever you can to make sure that Crimson can't get more CS. But he's already got such a big lead. Now we could see a little bit of a scrum for the Dragon here as it goes over to Music. Lojaz was unable to get it. Now Shogo is on his way up to try to help out his buddy Music. Music just trying to escape. He's going to be able to flash out of Decoy's ultimate, but Shogo is stuck. He will hold on to his flash and go down with the ship.
What a bro, Shogo. I don't know if it's the mathematically optimistic, optimal, pardon me, move to make when you're the AD carry, but he got Music out, I guess.
Listen, you just any way you can, you help out your boys. Young getting ignited, but he
turn
lost
around?
the last breath. Oh my goodness! And Lojaz took his last breath, but Retrozing was able to trade it back onto Young.
So a 1-for-1 in that situation. Young with the literal last breath under his turret, managing to tag up onto Lojaz and find that kill is absolutely nutty. And if you're Yasuo, you'll happily take that trade. 0-10 power spike is real, but what they don't tell you is getting any kills or assists along the way. Just make it faster.
Yes, sir. Fadichan trying to do what he can to make sure that wave hits turret really late, but unfortunately for him, Protoss was making sure that that wave was crashing into the turret. 2 kills to 2 so far, with AMI nursing a very, very tiny gold lead, but a fraction of hundreds of gold, of tens of gold, I should say, as Grubs are up in 50 seconds, RMC.
Yanni, I don't think I can tell about Protoss, because this guy, he's coming in, replacing Pocus, who is
The now
currently...
coach.
Yeah, who is currently coaching them and is, you know, learning from him. And I think Protoss in this series so far has been one of the best players in performance for AMI so far. His NACL game, he was the one making all the action happen. He was the one getting the fights even close. And this game on the Rakan, his roams have been spot on, and he's getting a lot of pressure down onto CCG. Specifically, Young is struggling with this, and the way he's just, you know, up at top now, you know, as well with Baz roaming down sometimes to even threaten for decoy, is doing a lot of work. I don't know if it's enough though, because as a support, you're the engage, you're making things happen, but you need your carries to step up, and for that reason, I kind of feel bad for Protoss right now when he's doing so much work and it's not yielding anything.
Yeah, and I want to shout out Protoss. I'm glad that you highlighted him because he's had a really, really good year so far. I mean, I played the initial qualifier that after the qualifier you would just auto-qualify, the one at the beginning of the year. Actually lost to AMI when he was on Dog Fans. He lost 3 games to 2 in a qualification match. It was such a killer, and then the split 2 open qualifier, I didn't quite get there, but this time around in this qualifier for 2026 on this AMI team that he said is built to win, has been performing really well, and now he's looking to make another big play here as they cut off CCG. Young is in trouble. Music trying to get in there, but the Mega Inferno Bomb gets the kill. Over on the backside, Crimson is just trying to stay alive, but will finally fall. Here's a big play by Fadichan as he pulls everybody in with the Magnet Storm, and Music, it doesn't have the damage to get anything more. Protoss lives on a sliver as Music falls. Shogo greeted, and he elected to go snipe away one of these grubs. He didn't join the fight. Fadichan desperately trying to get out, but it looks like he won't be able to. He's an auto away from death, and Baz is gonna tag him.
And AMI, they find the engagement we're looking for. We were just praising Protoss, and he shows exactly why he deserves that praise. They get 2 of the grubs as well. AMI, I didn't think they were in position necessarily to pull that off, but they were able to do so. The kill distribution as well. Baz picking up some of those kills is going to be massive, and it was just zero hesitation here. You contrast that to CCG right now, where Fadichan and Shogo got zoned out. That's why we didn't see Shogo in the initial fight, and Shogo just at that point decided completely, I'm out of here. And as an Aphelios, you'd have the range to participate in this. Baz does, and Baz actually ends up making sure that, hey, we can run down Fadichan. He can't get to safety because Fadichan wanted to secure the kill, and that ends up being a 4-for-2. Double the amount of kills. AMI on 4.
Yeah, Baz had a really, really good fight there. The bot lane really showing up here for AMI, and I think this is the first time all series that we could say AMI has a definitive lead here. It's only 700 gold. It's only 10 minutes into the game. Let's not count the chickens before they hatch, because remember, there's a lot to like about the CCG composition. But AMI, they got the job done. They took away some of those grubs. CCG only got 1. They won a fight. It's essentially all up for them.
We see that CCG knows how to play from a lead. Now, we get to see if AMI knows how to play with this sort of lead. And granted, it's a small one, but we saw that the base damage they have and sort of the AoE CC they have as well definitely hits harder in these early stages of the game where CCG has yet to scale. So, you know, with Dragon Combo of 8 seconds, do they kind of just go for that and try and force another big fight down here? It doesn't look like it. Lojaz right now is hovering more towards that top side with Impale available.
Like to see him make another play up there and maybe get Shogo off kilter a little bit. He is doing well in the CS department right now, just under 100. And as many Shogo teams go, you get him the CS, you put the ball in his hands, he'll be able to win you games. And judging by the way this early game has been, maybe, just maybe, we'll need another vintage Shogo performance if CCG win a 3-0.
He's coming down from CCG onto the Dragon already, and with Protoss kind of showing up top, I think CCG have the go signal to just go straight for that Dragon. Shogo's actually running to this top side with Bodychan, so CCG, if they go for Dragon, will be doing it minimalistically with just music and maybe Crimson or Young moving out.
All right, we're going to see a little bit of a scrap as Lojas is shown up top. Shogo says, hey, I wanna get this wave here. Not afraid of a 3v2 dive, especially not with a Corki on the other side. So now we're starting to see CCG take over this river a little bit.
Young Music might get pincered here by the rotation that's coming through from Protoss and Lojas. He gets out and Music can just hop over the wall. So yeah, CCG actually, despite the ping onto Dragon, they didn't go for it. And they've just been kind of looking for this top side instead. Trying to find an ambush and maybe a pick doesn't really yield anything. And it's just net neutral at the end of the day, which isn't terrible for CCG, but also I think not what they're hoping for.
Yeah, they're playing Protect the Shogo here. This is the standard Shogo playbook. We'll see if, again, he's able to hang in there and farm up well without being interrupted too badly. So we do see Music hanging out around the top side, but he's on top of Ward now. RMC, this game is really slowed down in a series that we haven't seen that happen.
Yeah, because it's always been CCG, just, you know, maxing out the accelerator, trying to make the game go as fast as possible because they have leads. And now that they are not on the front foot, now that they are, you know, fall behind a little bit, they are happy to slow it down. And it's on AMI to kind of accelerate, but that's not the type of team they are. They're not the team to go for those 30-70 plays, 40-60 plays and just say, okay, we are stronger right now, we can outplay you and we can make things happen somewhere. No, they're the team who sets up for these objectives, who, you know, looks for numbers advantage. They look to overload, and maybe they go for a team fight, but at least right now they might have found Shogo overloaded.
Yep, there's that overload you just talked about, and he used both summoners, and they caught him regardless. He drops the Moonlight Vigil down. He's still alive. They're looking for maybe a turnaround here. He does have that red gun. I cannot believe that AMI are unable to take down Shogo.
That's crazy. Bodyjan is the bodyguard. He's done this so many times where he somehow gets people out of danger. It calls back to yesterday when Young was screwing up a little bit, when Shogo was screwing up a little bit. Bodyjan was always in there throwing his body to buy them time. Now, I don't know if it's enough if Shogo sticks around because he's really, really low and they're out of summoners. They're out of items that could potentially save him.
Meanwhile, on the bottom side, Music is going to be able to pick up this dragon. It'll be his second dragon of the game. And CCG right now doing well in that department.
Yanni Shogo lived! I didn't pull the trigger!
Wow. Cold feet perhaps, but I mean, you tried. Baz is low on mana. It's really tough when you're gated by mana as a champion like Ziggs. These auto attacks just don't do the damage that you get out of 80 carries.
Fair enough, and no more Lost Chapter to kind of just help you regenerate that, so it really does come back to bite them. Nojaz has been sitting up here for so long.
Here we go. We're going looking for Shogo again. We slam him up against the wall. Knockup's not going to be there, and he almost finds Baz on the turnaround, but he will fall.
In the first place, Shogo had no business being still up there. Third time's the charm. Lojas finally sets it up, and good for Lojas because the amount of time he spent in that top lane where he wasn't getting anything out of it was kind of bad if he didn't find the kill. So at least he gets the kill, he gets answered, repaid for all of that. And Herald's coming up as well. So AMI, they've actually opted for the reset, which gives Shogo time to get back out.
During all this time, we've seen a lot of farming going on here. Young, about even with RetroZing. Crimson has himself a small lead. And these champions are champions that you want to see get the farm, right? They can fight a little bit early, but you're really content with Gwen getting there late, with the Yasuo, with Shogo as well on that Aphelios' decoy. They just go all in on this guy. You knew from the moment you saw Sejuani on the screen that they were killing decoy once again.
And props to Decoy. Decoy's actually been playing the lane pretty well. He has been pressuring quickly. He has been shoving up, and yeah, that kind of was why he died also, because he shoved up, and that's a very, very long lane. Shogo down to a third. Again, Protoss running in.
He dropped that ultimate, he drops the flash, and they're going to drop Shogo as Baz gets his third.
200 years of collective experience, and yeah, you know what? 200 years, you're limping around, the mobility's just not there, and Baz is just landing all those bombs, explosions. Even if it doesn't hit, the concussive blows are just hurting the bones, I guess.
First turret will go over to Crimson on the bottom side as they're going to funnel a lot of this gold into the Gwen. They don't care about the Rift Herald here, and honestly, it's a shrewd move. A move that you might learn from ProDiff. If you have enjoyed the games today and what Crimson and Music coaches on ProDiff have done so far today, you can take the opportunity to learn directly from them. No matter your current rank, you can fast-track your road to improvement by scheduling a one-on-one coaching session at prodiff.gg. All the coaches on there are an active or recent NACL or LTA player, and you can be confident that they have the knowledge to help you climb faster. You can get personalized coaching from prodiff.gg today. I'll be getting mine at some point, but not today, I don't think. I'm gonna need to... Listen, I gotta get back to Emerald, man. This demotion has been really killing me.
Yanni, you know what? Have you been getting coaching from Music? Because you're hitting these ProDiff timers, like, we're seeing Music hit some of these objective timers.
I'm not a jungler. Although, if I wanted to learn jungle, I would probably talk to Music.
Yeah, Music's really good at his job. Music has been getting the bot side objectives, despite the fact that they have been losing map pressure. So he's been able to find sort of windows to equalize things for the most part, but I think that the trade part of the game is kind of over now, Yanni. The Herald's gone over, the Grubs have gone over. Now it's Dragon, Atakan, and Baron. And those we don't really see traded because Dragon goes down much quicker than the other two. So CCG, they're kind of out of that grace period, but they've done a good job kind of catching back up. Gold is almost dead even. Crimson is really strong, and Young finally hit the blade of the Ruin King. The spike, that's part of the spike for Yasuo. At least he's now a champion instead of a glorified melee minion. He's not quite as strong as Yone, where Yone is just full build at one item, but he should start having relevance in fights.
And you know minions, so you're very well aware.
Oh, yeah.
Now, 1 minute until this dragon is up, and what we often see is the team with the Rift Herald dropping it in the mid lane to get that control of the river. We'll see if AMI are able to pull off that combination in just 50 seconds time. Remember, they really want to break the dragon stacking of CCG because these guys scale so well. I mean, if you give them the soul, it's going to be tough. And even if you're AMI and you manage to fight back and claim a couple of dragons and want the soul yourself, you're giving CCG so much time.
20 minutes at least if AMI are trying to go for soul themselves, and that's plenty of time for CCG as a whole to kind of power up. And we joked about the 0-10 power spike from Yasuo before. The idea behind it, okay, it was born out of frustration when Yasuo's go 0-10, but they still win the game. And the reason why that happens is to die 10 times takes time. And usually by the time you die 10 times, we're like 30 minutes into the game. And therefore Yasuo has scaled up. So we're adding 20 minutes to the timer right now. We're looking at 40 minutes. Yasuo is online and scaling at the point. He actually becomes arguably the biggest team fight threat on the Rift. So AMI, they need to speed this up one way or another. Herald's one way to do it. They've dropped it into the mid lane right now, but CCG are looking for the full 5-man fight.
5-man squatter here. Crimson was spotted on the backside. Remember how TP works in 2025. He sends that little ball of energy, I guess we'll call it. They were able to know where Crimson is at. He's still lurking behind. Fadichan taking a big chunk here. Young wants to get in one of these fights as well. Lojaz going to be up front as well as Protoss. So they're really looking to drive Music out and keep over on the backside. Crimson has to hop over the wall, but he gets stunned. He's in trouble. He's able to flash away. Again, Inferno Bomb does good damage. And Fadichan getting onto the back line, but the suppression by Lojaz means that nobody can join up. And just like that, we see fighting, but the teams break apart. CCG will secure their 3rd dragon of the game.
Soul point, one more to get the Ocean Soul, which would do so much against
I don't know if we're done yet.
Fadichan.
Fadichan's in trouble. Big Charm on the backside. CCG are completely split off, but Crimson wants to turn this around. Young's there too. They're all on top of Decoy. Decoy getting a big 3-man knockup for the last breath. CCG still alive on a sliver. Lojaz still barely alive, but look at Shogo. He's easily dealing with Baz and Protoss on the backside. It's a triple kill for Crimson, and Shogo is looking to close out on Baz on top of it. A 4-for-2 for CCG. They're in the driver's seat, and they're headed to Otacon.
2-item power spike for Crimson, and everything, all hell broke loose. CCG, with that Ocean Soul, again, the threat is going to be huge, and they just lost a massive team fight. What I love about this fight, too, was watch how Crimson just able to do so much damage, and they're tearing AMI apart. We talk about discipline. We talk about the way the team comps want to work. AMI's comps always require a very firm front to back, where their carries are safe. Their carries were not safe. Shogo was happy to dive into Baz, and Baz was distracted. He blew all his cooldowns on the main fight and didn't have a good way to answer Shogo. Meanwhile, Crims was just ripping everybody apart in the backline. The Rift Maker he had was healing him up, so yes, he took a lot of initial damage, but it didn't matter. And what we didn't see on the replay as well, Yanni, was the initial trade. Fadi-chan jumping over the wall, using the Magnet Storm to hold everybody down while Low Jazz went in solo. If they had traded 1-for-1, that would have been a win for CCG. And Low Jazz got forced out. As a jungler, he didn't even have a chance to smite. So CCG won the moment they got that dragon, which is why I guess AMI felt the need to brute force that fight, even though it wasn't the optimal setup. They weren't quite in position to get the fronts back they wanted.
And I will say, in the defense of Low Jazz there, I think that was a stop the bleeding ultimate. He hit multiple targets to make sure that there was no follow-up to be had on that initial great engage by Fadi-chan. It was a good defensive play by Low Jazz, but unfortunately, when you have to play defense like that, when you're down dragons and you're giving all this purchase to CCG, it just puts you in a situation that makes it very difficult to win. And now Ocean Soul is on the table in about 2.5 minutes, and if you give that over to CCG with the AMI comp that we said doesn't really have a ton of damage, I think you're cooked.
100%. And a lot of that damage is poked too, right? From the Corki missiles, from the bombs, from Ziggs. Despite the fact they just lost that fight comprehensively, Yanni, I do think AMI's comp right now is still stronger. They've got the 2-item power spike for themselves, especially Retro Zing has the mirror mana completed, and that's when Corki really starts to hit like a truck, whereas Young has not managed to complete his Infinity Edge. It has been a little bit behind. So for AMI, the Nyx Dragon, the Otacon, the Baron, these are objectives I would love to see them kind of try and force CCG into approaching and looking for that 5v5 turn or a pick en route. Because for AMI, if they lose one more fight, that's when I think the game's completely slipped away. But as of right now, it's still pretty even.
It is still pretty even. At least it's not out of reach right now as Fadi-chan is forced to flash away. But AMI going to need to do something, and fast, RMC. We have 2 minutes until the Baron spawns. Again, 1 minute and 40 seconds until this next dragon. That's going to be the site of our next big fight unless we see anything spicy happen at the Otacon.
And Otacon is up there. I feel like it is available. Baz being in the mid lane, they can throw a bomb up there. Decoy, holy.
All right, Decoy just getting absolutely destroyed by Crimson, although the last turret shot is actually going to get him. It's a shutdown.
But it's a solo shutdown onto Decoy, which, look, Decoy doesn't scale actually off that much gold. Like, he's scaling off just farming and that soul furnace of his. So, if you had to give over a bounty, I guess the best person to give it to would be Decoy.
Yeah, outside of, like, Protoss, right? But you're right. And a rare miscue from Crimson, who largely you and I believe has played incredibly well in this series. And even then, right, this is his biggest mistake maybe, and you know he's 5-2-2, and honestly his team's not really in danger.
No, not at all. In fact, again, they're scaling up, so they're fine. IE completed for Young, and that was the breakpoint I was waiting and watching out for, Yanni, because now that's the power spike for Yasuo. That's when he becomes, you know, a huge, massive threat against the enemy team. And so far, AMI, you know, that last fight kind of went wonky. I'd love to see them try and get that structured fight for themselves. Can they look for it? Dragon's kind of 18 seconds, and they did get priority. They did get vision down first.
All right, CCG looking to walk up here. Retrozing's not nearby. Crimson does have teleport, but he's not with the team yet. Shogo's got red-white, which means for CCG, it's time to fight. Big knock up on the Low Jazz is going to really interrupt him, but Protoss is going to look to go in. What a turnaround! Fadi-chan stuffs him, and the rest of AMI now it's time
the bomb
though with red-white guns. It's already a double kill for Baz, but guess what? The health bars are starting to drop. Low Jazz is going to fall. The charge is going to continue. Looking for Decoy as Shogo is firing away, but he doesn't quite have all the damage yet. A really great job there by Baz.
And a stay of execution for AMI. They win the fight. It's a 1-for-2. They take this, and with the numbers advantage, they can go straight for Dragon, should be able to take that without too much contest. And this is the front to back we were talking about. They get their tanks up front and do damage. And sure, Protoss isn't that tanky, but with his mobility, he's able to get out so he can kind of continue causing disruption if need be. And most notably, Retro Zing and Baz aren't the targets here. They got to survive. They got to just pump out damage throughout all of that. And there you go. That's taken. Otacon, though, is being melted. CCG took Otacon in the time it took AMI to take Dragon. What?
And if you're CCG, sure, you're a little upset you didn't get the soul, but this is a fine enough trade. It gives you more time to scale as well. We are starting to worry, though, for them because Baz, as you said in that last fight, you properly called out. I mean, 6-1 and 2. This guy is dispensing damage right now. I thought CCG really had that fight won, but that Mega Inferno Bomb hit damn near everyone.
Yeah, really well played from Baz and being able to pump that out. And I think Baz and Retro saying these are the carries for AMI a lot of times in their team fights. And this is, I think, how AMI wants to play ideally, where Low Jazz and Decoy, they're just able to disrupt a lot of fights. They're really, really good at that. And you trust Retro Zing and Baz to just kind of be able to carry you through with damage. Baz having the sort of advantage of more gold from being able to clear out sideways and more kills as well. It's just having a little bit more impact. But don't underestimate what Retro Zing is doing in these fights. And getting that dragon, that slowed down the CCG sort of juggernaut as well. They're not going to get Ocean Soul just yet. Another 5 minutes, and this time know how to come for a trade.
Baron still looms large, and AMI has to be very careful to not get picked off. You're barely winning fights in the straight-up 5v5. If you take a fight where you're down a member, it could be certain death for your upper bracket run. Remember, once again, the team that loses will have an opportunity once again to play in the other qualification match. They will not have to go through any other teams. They are automatically granted passage. So no matter what, a second chance is still on the table, but you really want to get it done the first time, RMC.
Yeah, fair enough. And for CCG especially, we had Shogo on the interview yesterday. He was saying that he doesn't think they should even be here. The team doesn't believe they should be here. So for them to, kind of lose on this upper side would be really upsetting, not only because of that, but it would also be a reverse sweep. Whereas AMI, unfortunately, we've not had a chance to talk to them. But we know that to them, this is a big deal as well. While there is a second chance, they're not looking at that right now. They are looking straight for the promotion. They're taking one match at a time, and now they're looking for one fight at a time. Low Jazz on the hunt.
He's going to force the flash out of Young. That is a big cooldown. This does mean that the Impale later on can do big things. Crimson gets spotted out on a pink ward. I don't think he's very much aware that he's being bear down on by multiple members of AMI. There's a big split coming on here, and now Crimson has walked by Decoy, but he's okay. He's looking to link up with the rest of his squad right now. AMI jockeying for position as CCG has complete control of the river right now, looking to do what they can to clear out all these wards.
Yeah, and both teams, I think, have been really fighting, scrapping over this vision. Protoss
took big damage on the way out, but Crimson drops his ultimate, which means CCG, or they're incentivized to fight here. Doesn't look like we'll actually see one breakout.
They weren't quite able to get in there. Decoy and Low Jazz again able to stifle the engage from CCG to come through. And once again, the Baron Dawn swings back the other way. The pendulum keeps on going. AMI now with control, trying to set up their own vision. And Decoy is so tanky. They need Crimson. They need Shogo to cut through Sion. If not, Music and Fadishan can't do squat. And Young's looking for backlines. Low Jazz in again.
He said giving Decoy the shutdown maybe wasn't going to be that bad, but I don't know, man. All of a sudden, you take a look at the Sion, and he's able to just shrug everything off. Looking like Daddy Thickums out there. I mean, he's got 3 full items. He's got the Bramble Vest, too. I don't know how you stop this guy.
Oh, with Crimson. With this guy on your screen right here. But the problem is Crimson's about to get collapsed on because the split pushing is not allowed. Yeah, this is why we see more Yone than Yasuo in pro play. We're starting to see the issue with Yasuo without proper setup. And we said in a draft, too, where's the knockups coming from? Young is struggling to stack enough to get those tornadoes off so that he can actually reach the back line. Fadichan, this is why we kind of didn't mention Rel when we were looking for engage, because we needed long range engage. And Fadichan needs to run through them. He's not able to quite find the angles through the Sion, especially not through the Skarner, and even through the Rakan, who's constantly disrupting Fadichan's attempts to get into backline. So Young can't actually get the last breath off on the backline more often than not. He's using it on the front line. Yone just needs to press R. Exhaustion Protoss as he's just cycling his summoners right now.
Gotta get that flashback up, especially on that champion. I like the way CCG has been playing this game. They know they don't need to rush things. The scaling is on their side. This dragon is up in 25 seconds. This doesn't mean that if they don't see a good opportunity, they won't take it. CCG has never really met a fight that they haven't liked. Now we see Crimson on the top side, eviscerating this turret. Decoy, Retrozing, looking to go after him. So the rest of the squad having a hard time linking up, but AMI cannot catch him.
And CCG, once again, kind of on the inside track with this Baron. They're going to try and clear out vision, maybe set up an ambush. Dragon has spawned. Does one of the junglers just sneak down there, try and smite that away, secure it quickly?
It's going to be a little bit because CCG are completely split, having difficulty linking back up. We do see that the Scryer's trinket was used on the Baron to ensure that nothing crazy was going on.
There, Yanni. Shogo was sneaking down to the dragon. I thought he was actually going to try it.
It's a good ward. There's a ward in the back of the pit, right? So they're very well aware that anything will happen. So now we've started up the Baron, but it's going to get the pings off. It's going to pull AMI up toward it.
That Scryers on that bot side dragon is doing a ton of work right now, and I'd love to see somebody from CCG actually go down and actually clear it off. They are trying to create space, not just for Baron, but also potentially push from Crimson. And as long as they don't have pressure down.
Fadichan, he walked up real close here. It's a single man impale, and they will pick him off. Fadichan with poor pathing.
Not gonna lie, I was actually really worried if Fadichan survived and got the Magnet Storm. That is a knockup. That could have enabled Young to dive that back line, but no, the burst is good. Fadichan is too squishy, and AMI, with that advantage, have opted to go for Dragon. They are trying to burst it down, should be real quick, but we've seen CCG sneak a big objective before. They've got a lot of damage.
Oh, it's gone. It's gone.
Yeah,
in the blink of an eye. It's
That's
gone. But they have to
crazy.
scatter to the winds here. Here we go. Big knockups in charge coming up
He
from
can
Pearls,
turn.
but he's dead. Now it's Decoy. He's all alone, but Lojaz and Baz are trying to get in there, but Music has tied up Baz, and Baz is running scared from the Sejuani, but he can't really escape. Shogo stuck in the back of the pit with Decoy, but Decoy's carcass will finally fall. They get the shutdown on the Sejuani, but Crimson and Young, they want more. Crimson takes so much damage, but a big wind wall blocking a bouncing bomb is Retrosing, and Lojaz, no, they need to get these Barons off of CCG. Lojaz looking to sell out to make this happen.
Fadichan's back.
Fadichan has respawned. This could be a time for a big turnaround. Lojaz has been slowed. He's stunned. He's knocked up, and he's
the Magnet Storm!
He's stunned, and they find him. Retrosing forced to flash, but he falls. It's Young getting the kill. Zags, no! TP'd. He's dead.
AMI, the teamwork team. I'll give them this. They fight together, they die together. Retros, Baz did not need to join Retrosing at the end, but they all kind of went down. Protos, you know what you need to do, buddy. Be part of the team. Okay, wait, no, Decoy's back up. Actually, never mind. Hold.
Time to knock these turrets down. Protos is trying to do what he can, but Decoy is going to fall. The minions are mighty distracted right now, but guess what? You got Baroned up, you got minions in the mid-wave, and I don't think it's going to matter. CCG are looking to end this game. They knew they shouldn't be here. We knew they shouldn't be here, and they proved to us that they should be in the NACL.
What? Hate to end this game, Yanni, and look, it feels like AMI made a horrific mistake at the fight that really cost them everything. But I'm going to argue that even the call to go for Dragon was a mistake. They knew what happened the last time they took Dragon. The first Dragon they got, they traded for Oxicon. The second one they got, Baron's not that much tankier. So, and the game has also progressed. There are more items on the side of CCG. So I think CCG making a great call, and AMI, critical moment when they needed to clutch up in such a tight moment. It's rare to get these moments. It's hard to practice, and unfortunately AMI just couldn't find the right angle.
It's so difficult too because you know how fast CCG does the Baron, right?
Yep.
We saw it, they know it, AMI knows it, you and I know it. It's just so difficult. There's no winning there, I don't think. I think you're in a scenario where you're just being bounced back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and realistically, we knew the entire time that that was going to favor CCG. Now it's time for MVP vote. Let me tell you something, RMC. I think you and I are in lockstep with our selections here. I think Crimson, Young, and Music are all good shouts, but I think one player above the rest really set himself apart, and that's Crimson having a banner series.
Fair enough, and it really does feel like CCG were paying him for his series yesterday, where he was just kind of playing utility. He was supporting the team in terms of what they needed to do. And today, he got to play his carries, and that Gwen game, it's such a nice way to cap it off as well. Really hammers the point home. But I want to shout out Young as well, because Young this series absolutely crushed it in the mid lane, and I think he was a big part of why AMI couldn't get rolling, because they rely on both Retrosing and Baz, and when neither of them can find significant leads, even when Baz was doing okay, Retrosing was kind of struggling a little bit into Young, it really slowed down AMI, so huge props to him as well.
Yeah, I think that if Young had another really, really excellent game in Game 3, this would have been a really good argument to try to be like, hey, maybe we should pick Young over Crimson, right? But I think Crimson just played 3 really excellent games. I think he made the right play most of the time. I think the one bad play he had was that split push down on the bot side where he died to the Scion. I think the most memorable play that he had, though, was in that second game on the Gnar, when he used the Gnar ultimate on multiple members of AMI, he ulted them away from the wall, which normally you're like, why is my Gnar ulting away from the wall? But the presence of mind to understand, if I ult them toward the wall, this means this Pop Blossom is hitting all of us, and to ult that Nico away, making sure that his entire team was safe. I'm like, this guy is really locked in today. He's playing at a higher level of cognizance. He has ascended as he has helped ascend his team back into the NACL. Fallen for just a moment. They stumbled in the season, but when the chips were down, they got it done here in the promotion series.
Yeah, and to be fair to Apex Mission Impossible, in this critical game 3, it looked like they might have been able to win it. We're seeing, some of the replays where they actually won out on some of the trades. They had a lead for a decent chunk of this game, but this last fight was from heaven to hell in a span of a moment too, right? They got the pick on Fadi-chan. That's what starts all of this. That's what gives AMI the call to go for Dragon, but their re-engage on the Baron just was not it. Baz and Retrozing, the carries weren't with them. And then everything kind of blows apart. But there was hope, Yanni. There was close. And you see why AMI is looking like they might be the other team to promote, at least from what we've seen so far. But a 0-3 defeat is a bitter pill to swallow. I don't know if it affects their mental. This tournament's very short. They've got 2 more days. That's it.
Yeah, and it's nice for them because, again, they have the second chance. It's not over yet. It's okay. They may have not played their best series today, I don't think. It was a good representation of what AMI brings to the table, but they will have a second chance. On a really fun note, when talking about campaigning for MVPs, I see Shogo in the chat saying, anybody but music, this guy sacrificed his ADC for a Raptor in 3 cents. A Raptor in 3 cents, man. Oh, man. All right, well, I guess it's not music. Sorry, bro. I got to be honest, I would have voted for Young over music, too, so, credit to that guy. For having a really, really good series, and music, maybe don't sacrifice your 80 carry for a Raptor in 3 cents. Only 3 cents? Surely you could get more.
He gives him the item he needs, and that's the important part, right?
Just a couple shekels, that's it, But overall, this is Crimson's MVP to lose, in my opinion. Again, what a series played by him, and what a great job by CCG. Again, the 3-0. We didn't expect them to be here. We didn't think that they should be here. They didn't think they should be here. Again, they take care of business. RMC, did you see anything that is a flaw in their game plan other than, like, occasionally getting picked off?
I mean, I see things that I don't like, but at the same time, I can't call it a flaw, right? When they're executing so perfectly. I'm not a huge fan of some of the drops that they're picking. Like, yes, it gives a lot of agency, and yes, that's their big win con, but I do feel like that's why they've been punished in the NACL at times, and yeah, getting picked off and sometimes a bit of the mid-game mistakes they made, but they're so incredibly far ahead, Yanni, that it doesn't matter most of the time. So to be honest, I don't know if that's a mistake or them knowing that they've already kind of got that lead and therefore they're playing this way. To be honest, this promo relegation tournament, CCG does feel like a massive outlier. They did feel like the bosses to beat, and yeah, they didn't drop a single game, right? There are 5 games, they just swept 2, they swept 3, they've done it out. So huge props to them.
Yep, wash their hands of it, enjoy their off season, maybe focus on some other upcoming tournaments that'll be happening on the horizon, because I believe this means their tier 2 competitive year is completely done at the very least, but these guys really showed up when they needed to. And I love that CCG was able to play through a different dimension, right? Where, again, we've talked about it a lot. Shogo teams usually revolve around him. The game revolves around Shogo. The world revolves around Shogo when you play with him. But this time around, and on this team specifically, it doesn't have to. And I think that is, I think it's a positive quality. We laugh about it, we joke about it, we mention it because it's important, but it's a very positive quality that, he doesn't have to do it all. He can take a backseat, and Crimson can carry games, and Young can carry games, and Music through the jungle role can carry games. I think it's incredibly important. I really hope this team sticks around in 2026.
And I'm just laughing thinking about sort of the first 2 games where he's like, Kog'Maw, Sivir, less mobile champions, I guess. I mean, Sivir has a speed boost, but where you want your team to play for you, and the team's just like, no, we're not playing for you. We're just gonna make our own things happen. Pantheon and LeBlanc in the game 1, where Music Young absolutely took off, and in the game 2 as well, with the Akali, Young was like, I'm not playing for you, and Music's like, yeah, no, our Akali's so far ahead, I'm playing for her, and then Shogo just left to try and maximize his damage the best he could, and he did with the artillery, to give him credit, but which is kind of funny.
It is pretty funny, but and then again, that Kog'Maw game, I was kind of surprised actually that he's gonna be the one to pull out the Kog'Maw in the bottom lane. I think that it's very interesting to note that this is just another dimension that can be played in another place where Kog'Maw can be played. We do have an interview on tap, everybody. We have Crimson all lined up and ready to go. Hello, Crimson. Welcome in. Congratulations on your team's victory today.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
You had a huge hand in this victory. I think that you've played, who knows, this might have been your best series all year long. Tell me a little bit about the year in review in 2025. Obviously, things were a little rough in the first part of the NACL in Split 1, a middle of the table finish, knocked out by Near Airport, and then obviously things didn't go the way you want in Split 2. So are you looking back in this year okay with how it transpired and ready to build more for 2026?
Yeah, honestly, like at the beginning of the split, I really did come in with a lot of confidence, especially when we beat Luminosity game 1. But like I felt like as the split was like going on, we just weren't improving as a team, and like I felt like we just weren't really trusting each other. And it definitely sucks not to make playoffs. Like I definitely have a lot more to show, you know, especially like after today. I would say like I definitely want to strive for more is what I'm trying to say, and like I have a lot more to show by next year, hopefully.
I think you've developed really well over the course of the year. I think in 2024, we're like, hey, you know, it's Crimson. Obviously, we talk about the lineage all the time. We don't really need to. But the fact that it's like, all right, this guy's a really young, raw talent who's very skilled. What was the big thing that this music in the background? What was the biggest thing in 2025 this year that up-leveled your gameplay?
Honestly, I would say like a lot of it would be like just looking at my mid game. Like a lot of the times I realize like when I have TP, I'm just not going balling when I should be in pressuring side, especially like that last game, like on Gwen. Like I just kept over forcing, which is what happened in the Blue Water game. That's what kind of made it like turn chaotic in a way, where I just like ARMing 5v5 mid. So I would say a lot of it was like my improvement on my mid game.
Yeah, we definitely saw it there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, in this series, like especially your positioning, I thought was amazing, even with or without the teleports. The Cassante flanks in game 1 definitely had us, you know, popping off and screaming. So, Crimson, first, you've made it. Congratulations. Now you've got a lot of time, I guess, before the next NACL season. So, what's the plan like for you? What are you doing in this off season?
I mean, I just started like joining a university, aka Maryville. So I plan on competing for CLAW. And I'm definitely still striving to improve, like every single day. And I would say hopefully by next year, like I want to win all of NACL, obviously, which is obviously like a big goal of mine. Like, especially after losing or not even making playoffs, but I'm still really like confident that I can be the best, you know.
Sure, yeah, big bounce back. This is the first step back in. Now, you guys have qualified, but there's still one more team that gets to make it. Based on who's left in the tournament, which is I think still pretty much everyone at this time, who do you think is promoting this alongside y'all?
Honestly, I don't know. It's really hard to say because I feel like besides us, like everyone else is honestly the same. So I would say maybe it's between is Cubic still in? Honestly, I'm rooting for Cubic if anything. They got those
Cubic
pocket
is
picks.
still in. Everybody
Yeah.
is still in. Yeah, and those pocket picks, those are dangerous, man. I mean, I think you guys did a great job yesterday of shutting down that Morgana because he had a really, really strong series on it previously. So I like that you gave him the shout. Speaking of shouts, other than Cubic, you have any shout outs for the people at home?
Yeah, shout out my family, shout out my team, shout out my coach Niles. I really appreciate everyone.
Really appreciate you too, Crimson. Thank you very much for spending time in this interview. Congratulations once again. Enjoy the victory with you and the squad, and really have a great day and good luck in 2026.
Yeah, you guys as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend. Wow, what a interview, a great interview from that guy. Hopefully he's the one who wins the MVP. I'm really hoping that he is because, you know, that vote is still being tallied as we speak, and once we get that, we'll be able to actually crown him. I wish we could have on the interview there. Not so.
Might be skipping sets. I mean, we saw Zero Dance popping in the background a little bit there. Maybe he was in the running technically, but I love the atmosphere in this background as well. You know, it's obviously he seems to be playing on campus, I assume, from the Dark Zero and Maryville signage we kind of saw in the background there. So yeah, the energy is really, really good, and you have to see that, you know, he's already kind of thinking of the next steps. The offseason's not really an offseason for him. He's just switched tracks, right, from NACL to CLAW to be able to kind of do that. We do also have a bit of an update between the best of 3 matches that are happening. So the other 2 best of 3s that are happening off stream are not happening at the same time. We get Cupid versus Vancouver Impact first, followed by Zenshi versus Lotus after. So far, they've not finished their series. The best of 5 finished before the best of 3. Zenshi and Cupid are 1-1 and still going right now.
Wow, I can't imagine the bangers that those games have been. And I mean, backs against the wall for Vancouver Impact, right? This is a team that the incumbents that might just be out in 2 rounds. I mean, they were definitely swept out by AMI, and we talk about Cupid as a team, how we think that they have a pretty good squad, especially Hub and Tub. I mean, maybe we see them in the next round.
Yeah, and Hub Tub actually, I think they're the kill participation leaders so far in the tournament.
That wouldn't
so
surprise me at all.
Yeah, most of the action in the tournament for their teams, they're the big focal point. So yeah, they're in game 3, about 20 minutes in and running right now. So that should be really, really interesting. And that also means that we don't know what the schedule is for tomorrow, because again, those are elimination matches on the lower side, which the co-streamers are picking up right now.
Yeah, so basically it's going to be the winner of Vancouver Impact and Cupid versus the winner of Zenshi Gaming and Lotus. Zenshi Gaming and Lotus is going to happen a little bit later. We do have our MVP. Drum roll, please. Please, it's got to be Crimson, right? There's no way it can be anybody else. Please, 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 please. It is Crimson. I was worried for a second. I was like, this is a big team fight. Like, I know Crimson did well in this fight, but it could have been anybody. And luckily, it is him. A well-deserved MVP. Again, this is a guy who has all the talent in the world. As we talked about in the interview, has the lineage, sure, but he's carving out his own story, right? And I got to see this guy a lot because he's been on CCG for quite some time. They're a franchise player, and I've had the opportunity to cast a lot of CCG's games in the various leagues that they play, and I've seen this guy over this time really develop as a player, and this year I think he took a huge step forward. I mean, last year I was like, he's good, but I wonder if he's maybe hit his ceiling, and he shattered it this year.
Fair enough, and I also think a lot of times when we look at MVP, we're looking at sort of your biggest impact in a game, and we talked a lot about how yesterday he didn't necessarily have the best. The players just playing against, like, it's just nullifying. Like, it's hard to see the impact in those sort of games, but I think it gives us a more well-rounded image of Crimson. He's not just a carry player. I mean, the lineage he's known for is all carry top laners. He's LCS royalty, or North American royalty, effectively, right? That's his brothers are both are up there as well, and all of them are top laners, it feels like. So for Crimson, he's now showing that he's not just a carry player. He's also a utility player. He'll be a tank player. He's whatever the team needs, and he will do whatever it takes. So yeah, very well-deserved MVP, and not just for this series, but I think for the tournament as well. He's shown off a lot, and certainly would be, I think, in consideration in terms of MVP for tournament so far.
Right, and like I said, I really hope this team sticks together. I would have no question that Crimson might be with this roster once again, but we'll see if there's any changes later on down the line. Obviously, we know things can get a little volatile in Tier 2, Tier 3, so things get interchanged, players come and go all the time, but again, CCG have really hitched their wagon to this guy, and he has been successful with it so far. RMC, AMI, let's talk about them a little bit, taking this 0-3 loss. In that last game, did you see anything that was different than the first 2 games?
Yes, I think they actually played the early mid game much better, and Low Jazz Retro Zing specifically looked a lot more online, locked in, and moving together. And I think it comes down to the fact that AMI is not used to having all losing lanes across the board, and mechanically they're really good. If they run into any other team but CCG, I don't think they're losing everywhere, and therefore they didn't quite know how to play. But the moment you get pressures somewhere, that's when Low Jazz starts to come online. And Retro Zing specifically, when Retro Zing gets online with Low Jazz, it just gives them so much more space. So I like that about them. I see a lot of hope for AMI, and like I said, in this tournament so far we've not seen any team be able to blow them out the same way, and for those reasons I think we will get to see them play their more comfortable sort of mid-late game team fight style. I am still a little bit concerned about that last shot call that did cost them the series, but again, I don't know how many more times they'll be put in that sort of situation.
Again, I'm willing to give them grace on it a little bit. I think it's just a team comp difference and the way the game went early on, right? It's been so tough. It's really, really difficult. Let's go ahead and take a look at the bracket the rest of the way here. We'll see the schedule in a second, but again, all placeholders. Right now in the lower bracket, Cupid Esports and Vancouver Impact are going at it in a 1-1 series. I believe Lotus and Zenshi Gaming will be playing in just a couple of moments, but these games, again, will not be streamed on this channel. It may be co-streamed on other channels. You want to go look out for that. And the next two matches that will be streamed will be tomorrow's match between the winner of these two lower bracket matches, and then the winner of that match will go and take on Apex Mission Impossible. Those matches will be casted by Gordo and 4x4. So, RMC and I will thank you all for your time, and we will be bowing out for the rest of the tournament. Those guys will be able to take the baton from there. RMC, what are you thinking out of these series? Who do you think's moving on?
First of all, I gotta say, double play-by-play is gonna go hard on the action. They had to bring in two to hype this up. But yeah, in terms of who we think moving on, I think Cupid Esports, like you said, very veteran presence, and Vancouver Impact, very volatile. So that series could really kind of go either way. I'm thinking Cupid in a critical game 3 might be able to edge it out, just in terms of having strong mentals from the multiple series they've had to play in OQs to kind of get here. Lotus Zenshi, I'm kind of liking what I'm seeing from Zenshi. I'm with Crimson in terms of Cupid and his champion pool really being able to mess things up. And NXI looked really good yesterday as well. So I think they move on, and then from there, maybe Zenshi moving on to face Apex Mission Impossible. That sounds like a fun match.
It does, for sure. And I think that, I was really hitching my wagon to Lotus, but honestly, I think Zenshi Gaming is going to win that. I think we're going to see a Zenshi Cupid matchup. I really do. And then if you ask me, I think it's Zenshi Cupid, Zenshi AMI getting that second spot. I just think that they are a little bit better. But obviously, now I'm counting my chickens before they hatch. We are going to have 2 stream matches down the line. We're winding down the stream now, and we do want to make sure we give another shout out to ProDiff.gg. If you enjoyed watching the games today and the show that was put on by Music, but Crimson especially, you can take the opportunity to learn directly from NACL pros. No matter your current rank, you can fast track your road to improvement by scheduling a one-on-one coaching session at ProDiff.gg. Every coach on there is an active or recent NACL or LTA player, so you can be confident that they have the knowledge to help you climb faster. Get personalized coaching from ProDiff.gg today. If you're a jungler or a top laner, hit up Music or Crimson. They should be able to really help you out. Make sure that you keep the conversation going on our social media sites, mostly on X, formerly Twitter, at WatchNACL. You can use the hashtag NACL. It's over here, sorry. I don't know how to point on camera. It's right up there. The hashtag NACL to talk about what's going on. Maybe go ahead and view some of these co-streams. Watch some of these matches. Tweet about them. Get the conversation going. Make sure that people know that this promotion tournament is so vitally important. That will do it for us here this evening. We want to thank you all so much for being here, for myself, for my co-caster RMC, for everybody, the NACL family behind the glass helping out. We want to thank you all so much for being here. We hope you enjoyed, and we hope to see you tomorrow for some more NACL action. He's going to find himself quickly in a 1v3, but guess what? You pull him away, and then Music comes over the top as well. Protoss is in trouble. He goes down. Yeah, do what you can, Low Jazz, but you're stunned, and you're dead first. Here comes Crimson. He's going mega, but punted out of the fight. Here we go. It's an odd man fight. Protoss getting in 2-man Pop Blossom. Young in stealth on the backside, doing a lot of damage. Funnychon following the backside as well, as he's keeping everybody away. Protoss caught off from the rest of the team as Crimson gets it done. He finds a kill. Baz finds him, but it doesn't matter because Shogo is still raining deaths here. Here we go. Big knockups in charge coming up from turn, but he's dead. Now it's Decoy. He's all alone, but Lojaz and Baz are trying to get in there, but Music has tied up Baz, and Baz is running scared from the Sejuani, but he can't really escape. Shogo stuck in the back of the pit with Decoy, but Decoy's carcass will finally fall. They get the shutdown on the Sejuani, but Crimson and Young, they want more. Crimson takes so much damage, but a big wind wall blocking a bouncing bomb is Retrosing, and Lojaz, no, they need to get these Barons off of CCG. Lojaz looking to sell out to make this happen. Bodyshot has respawned. This could be a time for a big turnaround. Lojaz has been slowed. He's knocked up, but he's the Magnet Storm! And they find him. Retrosing for CCG are looking to end this game. They knew they shouldn't be here. We knew they shouldn't be here, and they proved to us that they should be in the NACL.